Welcome, everyone, to the recap, the review, the reaction to House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 5. Don't know what the episode title is yet. We'll find out later. And it's a follow-up to a banger, an absolute banger. But first, let me introduce my co-hosts. Ryan from RK Outpost. What's up, buddy?
What's up? I am live on location. They sent me to Westeros to report on this. They put me up in a nice inn. I gotta say, I don't know what all the small folks are complaining about. It's pretty nice. Got me a bowl of brown and everything, so I'm good.
Awesome. The city gates have been locked and you can't leave, but you don't have to worry about that right now.
We've been talking for 15 episodes now about how the treatment of the small folk is eventually going to play a really big role in this story, and I'm glad we're getting some more forward motion in that.
Yep. Mahler.
Hello.
I
mean, I was just going to say, does Ryan want to give his 1 minute review of episode 4 since he was unable to join us last time?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm so sad I wasn't able to join last time because episode 4, we've been knowing that was going to be the big one. And the dragon fight is the dragon fight, and it's fucking cool, and it's badass, and it's awesome. But the thing that actually makes it stick with you and be impactful is that it's about storytelling. All the setup that was done for all the characters involved in the decisions that they made that ultimately led to this moment, whether it's Aegon, whether it's Aemond, whether it's Kristen Cole, whether it's Rhaenyra, or whether it's Rhaenys. We've been building to this moment, and all the decisions they've made have been important to it. And we got a mess on our hands now. And I loved it. I loved episode 4. I don't know. I don't think it has the same maybe emotional weight as like an episode 8 of season 1, but in terms of kind of the whole everything with when you get the big battle and you get these kind of big character moments, it was fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Agreed.
And now they're setting up something else. Fringy.
Yep.
What's up, man?
Hey, I am doing all right. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. So we got some of FNT and half of EFAP.
Pretty much.
FNT, EFNT. That's what it can be. Why not? And hello, chat. Thank you for joining us. That was a long episode. And I love that we're getting long episodes. And some may call it slow. I would say no. I would say this thing moved pretty fast with what they were setting up. And the other thing it presented was how much of a clusterfuck this is. Like this whole Civil War. Like the book talks about it, but like this really shows what an absolute mess this is. Like this is nothing that anybody's could like. Nobody's like solid on each side. Each side has got a petulant and damn near like the small councils, the way they're talking to their leaders right now, like would lose their tongues with other leaders. Let's just say that.
You mean with men?
With the men, yes, but not that they're wrong though. We're just talking about Targaryen leaders, so men and women. But the small councils are pretty funny in both of this, and what they're setting up is pretty big. Actually, I guess we can say that. But yeah. So the fight you saw in, I mean, it's one of the more known in the Dance Dragons, but it's by far the biggest. It's not the biggest fight at all. You took out a pretty important character early on, but there are much bigger things. Not sure if we'll see it in the season though. I gotta pull this up, by the way. Jamie, pull that up. Pull up the show. Down. Mahler, what are your thoughts on this episode?
My thoughts are, do you want to try it differently this time since I have the episode and I'll control the visuals and you can focus on hosting?
That's a really nice way of saying you suck at it. Let me do it.
I would never. That's what you mean.
You should. That's okay. I'm fine with it. I will share.
Got the beautiful starting image here, of course. to capture general thoughts. Is undeniably going to be seen as a bit of a come down since the previous episode, because that was hype and fiery as hell. Just super sort of it's so easy to say fast versus slow. But I just sometimes I think that they're not the best words for it. They don't capture what's happening. And the big impression I got from this episode is that on one hand, they're setting up so many things that I clearly have no fucking clue where we're going with so much stuff. Like so much new implications and consequences of things that I wasn't necessarily entertaining as possibilities. And then on the other end of it, I do think we may have missed out on maybe one or two conversations that I would have liked to have seen, but maybe didn't take place. The top one for me is I really wanted to see what Aemond and Cole may have talked about in retrospect about this fight that they just had. Even if it's the kind of conversation that Aemond ends pretty quickly, because those two were plotting together. So I'd have to imagine Cole would be like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Are we cool? I hope we're cool.
The assumption I get is there was no conversation.
Probably not. No.
I think I agree.
Back in silence. There was.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like I can imagine there wasn't, but at the same time, I feel like that would be a pretty neat thing to have. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was showing there was no conversation, just to get some expressions, because that gambit from Aemond basically means he was like, I'll sacrifice my standing with Cole because this is my big move. Even like he even knows, I think, judging from the episode, that he's got so much, for lack of a better word, clout at this point that he doesn't have to worry about too much. One of my favorite scenes was easily the small council on the green side where they choose their regent.
Oh yeah, that scene was brimming with subtext, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's so funny because like the Laris is and Allison is like thinks she has all this sway over these people, whether it's Kristen Cole because he's getting pussy, whether it's Lara Strong because he's getting toes, or Aemond because it's her son, and she's finding out that she doesn't. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have any of that power, and she kind of. It's ironic because the entire reason this is happening is because the argument was we can't have a woman on the throne. Well, if that's the fucking argument, we clearly can't have you as regent, can we, Allison?
That I was glad that was brought up. The giant elephant in the room, while they would just look like a bunch of hypocrites if they put her in charge.
It was a really fun way to build the scene. She's gradually realizing all of the influence she'd ever gathered is gone, basically.
Yep, in one moment. And that was great.
Well, the fact that Aemond didn't have to say anything as well. He was silent the whole time. He just let every single character make the arguments for why he should be in charge, and then just goes, "Yeah, I'm in charge. All right," and like down to business.
Then he's all boom, boom, boom. How's the Riverlands? What's this? What's that? Close the gates.
All right, you all have your missions. Go. It's like, damn.
Which is a change from the books because it was said that Allison closed the gates. So,
okay. What do you think? What do you make of that as a change?
Again, unreliable narrator. And if she's not in charge, it doesn't make a lot of sense for her to close the gates. The book is, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Ryan or chat. When Aemond takes over, he announces himself as Lord Protector, but not anything above that. He's still Prince, so he doesn't call himself.
He does protector of the realm, but he doesn't try to call himself king or anything.
Yeah.
He stops short of that.
But it's clear he wants to become king.
Oh, the language with Daemon has been fascinating over this season, just teetering every time. I was saying this to Fringy before this episode that it's very interesting that he didn't correct Simon Strong when he said he swore fealty to Rhaenyra. He didn't say like swear fealty to me. He was just like, all right, good. And then he said like, I am a king though. And this episode, you really get close to the line being crossed of like, she's a queen, I'm with her. Who am I? And he's like, king, consort.
I know.
And that was last episode. We got him. When he goes in there, he's like, he said king consort with a space between it as well. And I do like what we're getting from Simon Strong in this, like this different kind of point of view. Like this different way of looking at it. The guy who is the custodian of the biggest castle in all of Westeros, but has this very grounded perspective on everything.
I really like him. He's done a great
like
job,
him
the
too.
actor.
Yeah, and this is, and for you guys, for Fringy and Mahler, there's not a ton in the book about what Daemon does after taking Harrenhal, right? There's not a lot of specifics about what's happening.
Okay.
So I'm loving how they're expanding on the character. I think it works really well with what we know of Daemon from the books, what we've seen of him in the show, and I think this is one thing that was really missing, like in retrospect, looking at all of Game of Thrones, the seasons of Game of Thrones. One thing that was really missing was this fantastical element, this mystical element, because magic is important. Dreams that people are having, that they are very important, and the idea that weirwoods are so connected. And this is how you can tell, like, Ryan Condal don't necessarily agree with all the decisions he's made in the show, but there's no doubt that Ryan Condal's a massive fucking geek when it comes to this shit. And like, that's why they're tying the weirwoods in. That's why they're having Harrenhal be so haunted. That's why even putting that he's laying in a bed made of weirwood. Like, all that shit is so important in like the book lore when it comes to this mysticism. And I love that we're seeing it play out, and Daemon's just haunted by his past.
It strikes me as a really rich opportunity to put a character like Daemon in a situation like this, where he's very much out of his element. This is just like not the place for him. This is a really, really difficult thing for him to maneuver through. He's starting to not even be sure what's real or not. Feels like a great way to throw him off.
Since we're here already, let's bring it up with Alys Rivers, who we're getting. She was acknowledged in the book. Her age, it was kind of all over the place depending on the perspective. Some thought it was an older woman of 30, which would be old in Westeros. Was it Mushroom who said she was pushing 60? So she was just, it was hard for people to describe her. But and we could be wrong about this. Mahler, you tell it though.
Well, so I mean, because I don't. I know bits and bobs beyond some pieces, but I'm still completely out of the loop on a lot of things. I've been wrong about quite a few things already, but it's been fun to speculate, of course. The thing about her is I've seen so many stories, as you guys have too, of strange character that noticeably is only interacting with our protagonist / POV character, and is also just a weird character in general. So I've obviously entertained the idea that she's not actually there, or that she is there but she can't be seen by anyone else. There's a very curious nature of all the scenes so far have been very much focused on Daemon, and you could redo the scenes and she's not there and it would work. There's one moment I think where Simon walks by her, which I'll be careful, okay? Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Because I'm experienced of this, okay? I do this all the time on EFAB. We're not allowed to break any copyright rules, but this is the closest we've ever had to an acknowledgement, and I think you could almost brush this aside as him looking at what Daemon is looking at.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He sort of seems like, it's very, I don't know where I'm being led with this. I wonder if she's actually there, or if he's being super tormented, because she's obviously kind of torturing him. She's bringing up almost everything he has insecurities about.
Well, she's insolent. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy that the character he just met can talk that freely with them. And
Simon's been giving Daemon looks throughout his whole time here of like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what are you fucking high? Like, what's going on, bro? It's just, we've seen this so many times in other stuff. The first thing that's coming to my mind would be Joker. Just this character that we're like, oh, that person's there, and then they show the same scene again, but they're not there.
Well, yeah, I mean, or
like,
Victor Reznov, right? The same deal.
Yeah.
It's like, is this person a figment of his imagination? Well, not necessarily that, but is there some magic stuff going on here?
Yeah. So I feel like that's maybe where they're leading me. Not to say, like I said, could be that she is real, but it could also be she's a fucking spooky ghost. Don't know. But I'm very interested by it, and I love the conversation she's having with him.
That's an interesting perspective, and they very well could be setting up something like that. There is, like, Alys Rivers is a very mysterious character in the book. There are some people that say that she is one of Lionel Strong's bastards. There are other people that say, "Oh, she's actually a wet nurse that nursed Lionel Strong, which would make her like way older, but she didn't look that old." There's other people that say she's actually like hundreds of years old. There's a lot of people. Oh, she's a witch. She's a weird like witch that lives in Harrenhal. So we don't really know what she is, how real she is, what people's interactions with her are like. But she's an important character.
We'll see. We'll see. Should we? We're bouncing around a little bit. Should we go back to the beginning?
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning.
I'm very fond of the first, arguably significant character-related shot here of Corlys just looking at his throne.
This episode.
Go ahead.
I might be having fucking hotel Wi-Fi problems. That might be why I did that. But I just wanted to say that Corlys, the guy who plays Corlys, I think is great and does really good things in this one specifically. But it's funny because this episode, really this whole series, is just a story about how much guilt can one person take, like just being put on them over and over and over again, whether it's Alicent, whether it's Kristen, whether it's Rhaenyra, whether it's Corlys now. Corlys, who just wanted so desperately, like all of these things. He saw his wife passed over. He rose his house from kind of a middling house to the richest house in the fucking realm. He so badly wanted this glory. He wanted his son to be married into the throne. He wanted his grandchildren to be heirs to the throne. He wanted all of these things. And slowly, this is a man who's lost basically fucking everything that he's cared about because of his motivations.
Well, the way I would, I guess, because I love this is what the show's best at, right? I don't need any dialogue for this. I don't even need an expression. Seeing him look at the throne, spending the whole season and a half focused on legacy, and he's lost almost everyone he loves now as a result of pursuing it. That's like, it's just perfect as a visual as well. Was it worth it? The question,
as he sits alone in a throne room. Yeah.
It's good shit. A lot of weight.
And all he's accomplished too. All this guy's one of the most accomplished human beings in the history of Westeros.
But I do think that this is going to galvanize Corlys. And I think it's going to be very important, the decision he's about to make that we saw set up in this episode to become Hand. Like it makes a big fucking deal.
Well, it feels like this is going to be a turning point.
They already showed in, I don't know if it was the previous episode or whatever, but he's a presence at the council that is actually like desperately needed. Kind of missed him, to be honest.
Which was last episode, right? When he showed up and everybody kind of went silent. It's like, yeah, this is a guy who commands respect.
Yeah, so much experience, and he's got good ideas, this guy, you know?
And most importantly, not only is he a guy that commands respect, but he is a guy, which is first and foremost the most important thing to have in the room, as we've established.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, it's good to start with him as well, considering the end of the previous episode. Most important
actor.
I think he's done a great job. Always like to see him turn up whenever he's around. To be honest with you, it's nice to get him back in the game, so to speak, right, from the injuries.
In the after the show stuff, I don't know if it was the director for this episode, but she was talking about like how powerful the performance was, and that she wasn't like expecting him to cry. Like he was just supposed to like be emotional, and he has that fucking tear that rolls out, and they were like stunned on set because they didn't think that he was going to be able to do something like that. But it is a powerful scene.
Well, I mean, him and Rhaenys have been together for how long? It's like been a ridiculous amount of time, but a strong relationship.
Yeah, probably like 40 years or something. Yeah.
Well, and their last conversation together wasn't like super positive.
No. And neither of them have quite gotten what either of them wanted, you know, and it's all just slowly falling apart.
It is. And they just held on to this scene, and it's not like I will get my vengeance. It was just like, fuck, you know, and they did it pretty well.
And then we get Rhaenyra's reaction to, of course, the two sides of it, right? One being friend and loved one family member who supported her, and then the other is like a major military asset is gone.
Yeah, still no ground troops, nothing. And yeah, you lost one of your biggest dragons. We don't know where Daemon is. Can't imagine why the her council is kind of questioning her at this point.
I mean, I think it's fair to kind of ask, like, are we considering surrender? Like, it's not looking great.
No.
Well, it feels like things need to change quickly for their side, since even though Aegon being like out of commission, like that, you know, and then all of the problems that are happening in King's Landing, still feels like the Blacks have not had anything that could be considered like a massive victory yet. That they are very much like on the back foot.
Yeah. The only thing right now is Harrenhal, and that is just a victory in optics right now, as we're watching, you know, Daemon flumble around there. But optics are even important in Westeros, as we find out in this episode, right? And on paper, the Greens should be they're dominating right now. They have Vhagar, they just killed Meleys, Rhaenys. They're in King's Landing. At least until their king went out and tried to fight, got himself burnt to a crisp. Oh, by the way, I guess we can. So this is them parading around the head of Meleys, and it's not the win they were looking for. Now, you brought something up interesting, Mahler, that I think should be addressed.
I've seen, thanks to Twitter and the promo from previous episode, people were shitting on the Greens as though this is happening in real time, in real life. What a blunderous move to have put Meleys in the road. And you have to understand, like, the Targaryen heraldry, as well as their dragons, represent like almost godhood and purity, and to do this is a foul omen, all that sort of stuff. And I was like, man, that would work so much better if not for the fact that Meleys killed like thousands of your families personally. Like, it's almost a missed opportunity to not have at least a few people being like, you know, that foul demon beast has finally been felled, and then someone else is like, no, this is a foul omen, you know, that sort of thing.
I agree. I wish they would have had a couple lines in there with people like happy about it.
Or alternatively, they should have just never written it the way that they did in episode 9. It just it just looms over the show, occasionally coming in to like ruin what would be good moments.
It is a tumor of a scene from that season. If you just excise it from that season, it improves so much. It's having effects on loads of these different scenes. It's like, I think we might finally be past it after this, though, right? It should be the end of that scene messing things up.
Yes. I think this puts it to bed. So the small folk are not happy. They see it as an omen. One kid walks up. I thought the dragons were gods. He said, it's just meat, boy.
Yeah, they don't have to go hungry. Plenty to eat.
Yeah, those little flying things.
Little dragon stew.
I love how I love how Meleys is still smoking. There was so much interesting shit that we saw in the battle in terms of when Sunfire was so fucking gorgeous. So we get like one shot of Sunfire. Yeah. Like it had like the fucking Twilight skin sparkles like on his face and everything. And that's like the one time we see somebody that actually likes Aegon.
Yeah.
It's like the bond between him and Sunfire was like so good, like a dog, you know what I mean? Like happy to see his owner for the first time in so long. It
would have served them so well, I think, to pop one or two more scenes of Aegon and Sunfire, just especially being like, it's like the one nice relationship he has that has no horrifying elements to it, and then that's the fate of that relationship. It's I still think it's effective. It's just that, yes, you're right, gorgeous looking dragon, and it's like, well, it's dead.
And it immediately, well, it's not dead.
I thought they confirmed it was dead in this episode. Did they not?
They say it's dead twice. They say it's dead.
Well, Kristen Cole didn't.
Kristen Cole said he left it to die or something, right?
It was long in the dying, so he didn't say it was dead.
Right.
And what's Rhaenys Rhaenyra believes that that Sunfire's dead.
Yeah, I think you're right. He does say long in the dying, which is a very specific choice of words.
Yeah.
I've even said to people, like, they show Sunfire breathing at the end of season 4.
They do.
They do these things deliberately, right? Filmmakers, they don't want you to think when Rhaenys dies, like that was the filmmakers being like, she's dead. She exploded. she's definitely dead.
Yeah.
Some filmmakers will disintegrate characters and have them return, you know.
Oh, I know.
Yes, Cole's a little bit confused as to why this isn't good news.
I liked in episode 4 too, like that's why I started saying when Sunfire gets gutted and is bleeding, the fact that like the hot like steaming blood in the dragon like falls on people, just immediately burns them to a crisp was fucking cool. I'm not sure how I feel about when dragons like fall and kind of die, that they literally explode. I guess it makes sense. I don't know what the fuck is in a dragon that has fire. I don't know if there's like some big it's fucking hydrogen sacks or something. I don't know, but I like the imagery of them giving off a little explosion when they fucking
my assumption is they have a sack of some kind in there that produces
there's glands. There's like glands that produce it.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I just think of a big fucking sack in their belly that goes like they hit the ground like an accordion, like it fucking compresses and they go and fucking spit it all out. That's what I imagine it as.
There's Hugh. They keep showing this guy Hugh.
They do.
They really do.
He has to be important.
It is. We were talking about this on EFAB. It's like, I get it. It's so you're allowed to do this. It's just kind of funny. It's like, why do you want us to care about him so much? And the show's like, wait. Hugh
is the man. Okay, he's the blue collar guy. Just trying to feed his family.
Yes, he is.
Well, they're using him in two ways, right? They're using him because yes, he is important going forward.
Yes,
but also they're using him to continue to forward the storyline of the difference between the people that rule and the people that have to live in this world.
Well, so I guess this is just to Fringy, but my speculation, right, is like his hair color is kind of curious.
Yeah. I imagine that he might be.
He's a Lannister. They've been doing that little thing about the dragon seeds. We know Adam was looking at sea smoke, so it looks like we've got some pieces here that could add up to some
and a big
dragon flames.
A big conversation we had at the very end of the episode.
Yeah,
which I loved how involved Jace was in this episode. We finally get some Jace action.
Yeah, that's good.
He's been pretty brilliant. Like he'd probably be a pretty fucking good king.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
They still got the rat catches up there.
Those bodies, dude.
Yeah.
You're lucky they haven't actually like broken at the neck and just come off at this point.
I think they should actually be more rotted than they are.
More rotted? They're like skulls.
It looks like skulls.
The clothes are intact, but they would be, right?
Well,
they're pretty rotted through.
I'm surprised they're still hanging.
No, that's what I was saying. You'd think that the skulls would have come off, the crows would have eaten most of
the birds.
Bro, I just want to see the rat catcher like falling, like bits of him falling off, and the fucking dog from the other episode like eating him as he falls.
Yeah. That would have been kind of funny. So yes, we have Aemond and Alys overlooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't look happy.
How much can be conveyed with a look,
Yeah, I mean, well, who was the line? Was it? I think it was Rhaenyra's in episode 3. She said, "At this point, even a victory could only be seen as a loss," as in like the damage that you'll take. Which I can't remember if Gawain said something about that too. With we may as well have lost, like how badly this went, and we do get a good accounting of the damage that was done. Obviously, to the king, to his dragon, all the men they lost, and they were the winning side.
They were the winning side. Except our king got completely cooked, which is it's interesting that they introduced the Valyrian steel armor. I like it. I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine.
I think it's cool.
In the book, the armor melted into his body, but like this case, it doesn't. But it still was pretty gruesome.
There's something to be gleaned from that thematically.
Yeah.
I'm so obsessed with being Aegon the Conqueror. I mean, it's like how much do you want to be him? The fact they have to peel it off his body,
Aegon the Conqueror did not have to fight other dragons. It was pretty. Yeah, that's a big difference there.
Well, it's just you peel off the symbol of legitimacy and what you've got left, like a completely mutilated, destroyed body, like a destroyed human being.
Who later on is asking for his mommy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she walks out.
It's crazy
Yeah.
that they have been able to make Aegon into a fairly sympathetic figure.
Yeah.
I think they've put in great efforts to explain why the Greens are the way that they are. It's a lot of lost love.
Every parent sucks. Yes.
Yes. Good parenting. It's kind of important.
But they kind of learned it from their parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Who again? We missed another Reese fans performance. No more. We got 3
Yeah,
episodes.
not in this scene, this episode. I miss him. I miss Otto. I need him back.
I need him.
I need him. I do.
Otto's
He's
doing
my
right
favorite character right now.
While all this is going on, we have we have Old Town. We have the High Towers and all of Old Town, which most of them have bent the knee to Aegon. But not all. And we still have the Lannisters out there. We still have the Lannisters. So those 2 huge armies just with those 2 houses. Just with those 2 houses. We're not talking about Tarleys or anything else. So it tells you like the war's it's still just beginning. We had the first battle, and now at some point you get some loyalty from some people, but right now it just doesn't exist. Like
very much the sense you get. Everybody's sort of thinking like, like whose side do we want to fall on here? You know, do we want to wait and see how much can we get out of this? You know, how much can we advance our position in this world? It's very, and I mean, it makes sense. It feels like now it's like we've remixed kind of like the state of affairs in this world after this battle. You know, now that there's, you know, who's in charge and the loss of dragons, that now it's like it's reshuffled the board a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out from here.
It is strange because you could argue, like, again, the Blacks kind of do feel this way. That, yeah, they took Aegon out and he's not going to be there anymore, regardless of whether he lives or dies. But it's fucking kind of worse with Aemond there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like we did take out the king, but God, did we just make this worse?
Yeah, maybe we should have left him in, you know.
They did neutralize Sunfire, which is huge. Especially because the only other dragon they have is Helena's, and Helena doesn't seem too interested in riding a dragon.
No.
Not at least in war.
Oh, did you see the stuff going on Twitter about Aemond and Helena?
There has been theories for a while that, and this would not be new even for like Game of Thrones, there have been theories that because of the interaction that Helena had with Aegon, saying he almost never touches me or like never messes with me except when he's drunk. I guess he's always drunk though. There's theories out there that Aemond is the father of Helena's kids.
He did. They do have a reference in season 1 where he said he would do that duty in an instant. Yeah. Yeah, we have Cole sorting out his sword, getting it clean, sharpened probably as well. But it's a nice bit of getting that. It's like, for me, it's blood off his hands. Going to be a aspect to this, right? Just trying to clean himself up after that whole disaster. Got an immense sense of guilt for. He is the king's hand. He is the Lord Commander of the King's Guard. His king has just been melted.
But also, sort of thinking like, all right, but whose side do I need to fall on here? How much should I share?
What the fuck is even going on? And what with the power he has should he do?
Exactly.
This is the fucking hand of the king.
Yes, he should know more than the king.
Okay.
That's his job.
Yeah, and this scene is a bit of Alicent being like, so you're not going to tell me much of anything, huh? And he's like, nope.
No, I'm not.
Not unless you suck my dick.
I wonder how people are going to feel about Kristen Cole after this episode. I don't know how much good it will do him in terms of people who hate him, but I'd be curious.
They're clearly taking efforts to humanize him, for
marking
sure.
a new change, especially after what happened at the end of the last episode with all of the destruction that he saw in the battlefield.
Yeah, he's a changed man. Because
he feels as well very much I don't even like the consequences of action is so apparent to him now that this scene felt like I ain't doing or saying anything until we get some more information here or figure things out, and that combined with it's gonna have to be decisive and quick. We need to get this over with, like this whole disaster.
Well, the irony is to keep it, all of this was to keep Daemon Targaryen from ascending the throne, and now you have Daemon Targaryen on the throne.
And what do you if you are Kristen Cole, what do you do? If you say, hey, Aemond did this, right? Aemond, what are you gonna are you gonna arrest him? Are you gonna take his dragon away? Like,
well, it's just Aemond who says, no, I didn't. And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that's the end of the conversation. And also you have now like lost any capacity to be by his side, like you just doomed yourself essentially.
Yeah, but like they need Vhagar. Vhagar is now the only thing that they have. So you can't, what can you do? Like your hands are fucking tied. Like they're even if he comes out and says to Alicent everything that happened and she tells everybody everything that happened, what does it matter?
No, they need Vhagar in King's Landing.
And Aemond is actually very capable in terms of military strategy. He's demonstrated that over and over again. I mean, it's what we were talking about before, right? The scene at the council of just Alicent realizing a little bit too late that Aemond is just got much more power than she does.
Locking the gates of King's Landing, not feeling like a good idea. You got starving populace, and you're going to lock them in. It's not feeling like a good idea. What choice do you have though? Because a bunch were leaving anyway. So
because you need people there for all manner of tasks, but at the same time, you probably don't want to have a city filled with people who are very discontented.
So yes, we have Rhaenyra and her council, and they talk around her again. She even brings it up. And they make some good points. They're like, you're a woman. We've battled. She's all, well, there's been 50 years of peace. You haven't seen much battle. And
well, as much as I'm critical, as much as I'm critical of Rhaenys, she was better in the council meetings than Rhaenyra is.
Yes.
Like the commentary she would have would usually be filled with history, and she would argue like how there's things to do, places to move, and to respect your queen. But Rhaenyra can be a bit kind of like, hey, all the time, and it's not very effective. It's almost like she needs a Daemon or a Corlys or a Rhaenys by her side, which I think was mentioned, and now we know. It's just that she probably should have appointed a hand very much sooner than she did.
Yes. Taking this long, not a good move.
It's taken her a while, yeah. It has.
I don't know why she wouldn't have appointed Rhaenys, to be honest with you. It seemed like that's the way they would have gone with it.
Now they don't have a chance. She's dead now.
Well, and I think Corlys is a good choice for hand anyway.
I think it's a really good choice. I think it makes a lot of sense to get him.
Corlys is going to turn the tide. He's going to turn the high tide.
Yes, he is.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's why we brought Ryan on, everybody. That's why we brought him on. So they have there's been peace in our lifetime, and you haven't seen much battle. So not a lot of people haven't seen out and out war, right? But there's been plenty of skirmishes and battles. So there are some seasoned folk out there. Not sure if he's one of them, but she learns how to lead eventually.
There's not a ton though,
one scene.
Like you've got your battle in the Stepstones, you've got skirmishes in the Dornish lands and stuff like that. But there's not it depends on where you are. And obviously the Brackens, the Blackwoods have had their little like whatevers, but even, when think back to season 1, when Rhaenyra has to choose a King's Guard, and none of them had fucking seen battle other than Kristen Cole.
Yep.
This is a time of relative peace.
The Dornish. Yeah, in the marshlands where there's always fighting.
I appreciate as well the King's Guard wants an answer for what was his Darklyn, right?
Yeah, his father's.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was his father or uncle or whatever it was. It's tough
I think it was his dad.
Remember.
And then obviously Rook's Rest. They want to like the council getting restless on like a sense of vengeance. Like, are we gonna actually respond to these things happening? And the suggestion of trying to go after King's Landing / Vagar because she'll be low powered at this point. It's still a very high stakes discussion, but the conclusion is Cyrax, I guess, is the only option because Caraxes is off the board in a sense, and you just lost Melis. But it's like, yeah, we can't send out Cyrax because that's the queen. You're like tossing your queen in chess over to the other side of the board. You can clean up, but you'll also potentially lose it, and then you're fucked. It's always been the problem, and I do like the episodes are trying to acknowledge that noose preventing Rhaenyra from acting in lots of ways, and this episode seems to be trying to address that finally. What is the way we can break away from it?
While setting up more dragons.
That's kind of what I mean by that.
Dragon riders. Yeah. So, Jace.
Jace, throughout this entire season, Jace has basically just been kind of pouty and angsty, but also like emulating Daemon. Even the way he fucking stands in these council meetings with his fucking hand constantly on his fucking sword. Like imbues like Daemon energy. You know what I mean?
But hopefully a little less unhinged, like a little bit more controlled and thoughtful.
Well, they butted heads briefly in season 1, remember? Because Jace was trying to stop Daemon from taking the war into his own hands while Rhaenyra was giving birth. But yeah, he's definitely had an influence on him, you can tell, which is kind of fun. They subtle, but still there. Yes, he's frustrated that he can't do much either.
Mm-hmm.
So he decides to do something really smart. And
his dragon's Vermax, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the previously on, we got to see the North again and talk about all the Northmen that are on their way down. It's a bunch of gray beards because it's we're getting close to winter, and that's where they go out to die, basically. So they send the old guys out. They want to go out fighting anyway. So they're on their way down, and Jace, they allow this kid to make a couple of good decisions. So he decides to treat with the phrase, the Lords of the Crossing. And we get to see House Frey again, which is
it's been a while.
And once again, we're negotiating for Stark men to make the to cross the Riverlands.
The Riverlands.
George writes the same thing over and over and over again. Yes.
But with a little twist every time in a different direction.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of how I feel about this scene. I was quite happy with Daemon's like, okay, they won't, fight for me. I'll show them a dragon. That'll do it. And it doesn't do it. It doesn't
Bro, I would fucking do it in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Look at that thing. Look at his fucking neck.
No, absolutely. But there's an interesting idea of leverage here, like especially with the Riverlands people that's made clear in a later scene. That you need to be careful, and like the North remembers from Game of Thrones that they didn't properly bank on at all. It's very much you can make these decisions, you can go Iron Fist mode, but there will be repercussions, even if it's years from now. There will be significant repercussions, which I've always enjoyed, and it seems like they get a bit of a backbone from that. And Daemon does comment on it. He's kind of like, it's kind of hard to hate them for that. It's kind of cool. I kind of want these people.
I didn't expect them to be so eager to die.
Yeah.
Fucking great line. Look at this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Matt Smith is his fucking goofy ass. He looks so weird. But he's like perfect for this character on top of his weird ass looking dragon.
Yep.
It is. It's a vibe. And there's a particular shot in this scene. It's so fucking
and you're expecting Daemon to do Daemon, you're expecting Caraxes line it up and just fucking breathe fire. But then I love the next scene when he says, I didn't expect him to be so eager to die, and it's Daemon in all of his fucking armor just sitting there on a rock well, fuck.
A meme is born.
It's I pulled out all the stops. I brought Caraxes all the way down here. I'm fucking decked out. I look like a Targaryen king consort, and here we are.
Yeah, they keep doing it in his plot line. He'll make a decision, and then it'll either like for one thing, it'll work, like with taking over Harrenhal, and it'll just not at all be the thing that he expected, or it'll completely not work, and he has no idea how to deal with that, or something will just happen that he has no prep for at all, like with the visions or how Harrenhal's treat him and stuff. This has all been entirely awkward for him. It was just like, I don't deal with this normally. This is not how things usually run. And, it's very fun
Which
to
feels
watch.
indicative of the nature of how like both sides have kind of like massively undermined each other to where everybody's just less afraid of them. Everybody's thinking more about what can we do that will be to our advantage as like a smaller group.
And of course, we finally get a more significant repercussion in a later scene of he decides in this scene, all right, if that doesn't work, then we'll fuck them up in a much more personal and significant way. Which when we watched it, I was referencing 10 Good Men, right? It's classic. Yes. That fucking meme went for ages back in, I want to say season 6, was it?
Yep. I need 10 good men. Well, wasn't that bad.
And yeah, he lets him loose, and it's gonna have repercussions.
Yep. Major repercussions. So yeah, he Blackwood said there men have their weaknesses, and there's other ways to persuade people. So he's always and says, "You take my meaning."
And they are so subtle with each other. Neither of them want to say the thing, I guess, because it's all. But he is explicit that he says the crown can't be seen doing these things,
and they fuck it up.
Yeah, they fly the crown's banners. So, whoopsie
doopsie.
Daemon actually tried to be tactful.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
and failed.
It didn't work. Not his strong suit.
No.
They should have just sent Daemon into town with his up to no good hood on, and had him
his crime hoodie.
Yeah, and had him his Trayvon Martin hoodie. That's an American joke. And fucking scared everybody off their horses till they died. That would have worked.
Look, it's the Eyrie.
It's the Eyrie.
Yes.
So we're starting to see a lot of Westeros here.
Man, isn't it weird how the Eyrie is always led by a fucking random woman?
I know, right? We always jump in the time where a lord has just died.
Yeah.
And there's a succession thing, and the woman's in charge. Yeah, kind of weird.
What's fucking crazy is Lysa Arryn is like significant in the cause of the start of the events of Game of Thrones. It's kind of nuts, and she's absolutely a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
But Jane Arryn seems normal. For the most part.
Totally.
Much more normal than Lysa.
Yeah, she's not breastfeeding a 10-year-old. So
there's that. It's a plus.
No,
what do you? These people fuck their brothers and sisters. Like breastfeeding a 10-year-old is like minor in terms of weird shit going on in Westeros.
Yeah, that might get you a small fine, but it's not anything that's bad. Though they do something bad later. Well, they do something later. So
I assume this scene is going to have development because it doesn't really get solved. The issue is basically Jane Arryn was like, yes, you can have some like 15k men, I think is what she promises in exchange for a dragon to defend her from dragon attacks. And what they've given her is 2 hatchling dragons, which is like, oh, that's not the deal. And I thought it was really funny. Rhaena had the balls to say you didn't specify the size of the dragons. It's like, are you seriously pulling that shit where I can just boot you out of this castle? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you even say that?
I just feels like yet another instance of I don't think you realize you're not as powerful as you think you are.
Yeah.
Well, why would you even say that, you know? Oh, yeah, well, you didn't specify. Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, now that you put it like that, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And again, like, they will grow. It's like, we're at war now.
Yeah. So they're obviously like, this is another one of those scenes where they're introducing a character that's building to something that was just kind of there. Very Hugh scene. Because what little dialogue Lady Arryn has, they kind of split, right? They give her a little more, but there's actually some from the book, and they're saving the other part for maybe the next scene. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe, but yeah, this is definitely a it felt incomplete to me. I was like, so what's the repercussion? It's like, see you at dinner. Yeah.
See you at dinner, and then we'll have a conversation at dinner next week.
Probably, yeah.
Talking about the 15,000 men, probably. And
back to my favorite character. This one is a bit of she's like an anchor to how far this show is allowed to get. It can't fly free because everything to do with her has been fucking annoying. The show has protected her hardcore. We discussed all this recently, is why I'm assuming I wouldn't need to repeat the arguments. But she's everything about the plot is kind of twisted to allow Mysaria to get here. And now she's probably going to have a significant effect with having sent someone, I presume. Yeah, she's all we saw is she has sent like a handmaiden or whatever to go and contact Liana, I think her name was, who we saw in the tavern. No, I don't know where this is going exactly, but it's obviously going to have repercussions.
So, what I take from these sequences is there are other ways to fight a war. Whatever she says, she's talking about. I think she's talking about propaganda,
showing discourse
amongst the people of King's Landing, to dislike the Greens more than they already do, and cause problems for them there in King's Landing on the home front. That's what I think.
Okay.
And it's pretty clear that small folk, I mean, like,
I love how important they're fucking making them in this.
It is.
Because that is kind of one of like the themes that George talks about of the books are like, when these wars happen, it's the people that fucking suffer. War is always horrific. It's always awful. And it's the people that aren't involved that end up suffering the most.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it comes across as she's like Rhaenyra's most trusted advisor at this point, which I don't think they've done a good enough job of moving to. Honestly, I see her as the weakest like thread out of all of the different characters and storylines we've had.
Yeah, well, hopefully she'll be replaced by Corlys, right? Now that he hopefully will accept.
I
really hope so.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I don't think so. I feel like this lady's got fucking armor.
Well, this is the master of whispers for Rhaenyra. At this point.
I also think the show has the view of like she is kind of the truth sayer, you know, like when she makes observations, they're worth heeding because they're accurate.
Yeah.
And it's like,
like coming from the perspective, this like whore that was like that like raised herself up to be this.
Dude, the fact that she says like, oh yeah, all the horrible things I did, it was to eat, so it's okay. It's like, what? Loads of characters are doing it for their own reasons. What do you mean? You can't. How do you get away with it? Yeah. And it does feel like the show says, no, this character's actually really good. She cares about the small folk. She made her decisions in relation to trying to help the realm. She's like a Varys, and you're like, no, she's not.
No.
Yeah, and she's not going away.
No.
When Corlys comes in, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, at this point in time, Rhaenyra has lost everyone else that she felt like she could go to for advice. Daemon, I don't know if she would have gone to Daemon for too much advice after everything that happened anyway. He's fucking gone. Rhaenys just fucking fell 1,000 feet and exploded into nothingness. And maybe she's learning that Jace is actually worth listening to from stuff we get later on. And Corlys is a hand, yeah.
But yeah, she's like, you can do other things, and that's what Garrett's talking about. Send some people, do some stuff. I'm sure we'll see repercussions of that. I just, I don't like her. Okay.
Yeah, I don't find her interesting at all compared to all of the other characters in the show.
She's one of my least favorite characters.
Yeah,
probably
not exactly the white worm who was pale white.
What dragon? What fucking dragon is that?
Don't know.
I was wondering that since we saw the conversation between Jace, because Balerion should be at King's Landing, yeah?
Yeah. That would be my guess. But that's first, Meraxes can't. No,
he was killed in Dorne.
Yeah,
it's a big ass fucking dragon, though.
Yep.
Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did bring Meraxes' head back. I don't fucking know.
Maybe.
So Meraxes was ridden by one of Aegon's sister wives and took a scorpion arrow and died. while she was trying to subdue Dorne. I think that's what happened, right, Gary?
Say that again. Sorry,
It happened. It happened in Dorne, right?
Yes.
Yes. And that's when they realized scorpions actually can take down dragons.
So Balerion the Black's dread skull is seen in a crypt of Dragonstone, where Viserys tells his daughter Rhaenyra the secret of a Song of Ice and Fire.
That wasn't Dragonstone, was it? I thought that was.
They said Dragonstone. Balerion is the oldest, largest dragon Targaryens, and his skull is also seen in the Red Keep cellar. So they moved it.
Oh, Red
That'll
Keep.
be my guess.
Okay. Well, why'd they fucking move it?
That.
The last rider of Balerion was Viserys. Viserys fucking was the last rider. He fucking rides him one time, takes a couple laps around, and is like, I'm good now. Viserys is such a fucking pussy, man. Get the biggest fucking dragon in the world. You don't want to ride him.
Maybe the dragon told him through psychology. He was like, I'm pretty tired, bro. Mind if I just have a sleep?
Yeah.
We did get to see. I forget her name. What's Daemon's mother's name? And Daemon and Viserys' mother's name?
Oh, I just had it. Allison.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure she, right after the kids were born, for both of them, took them up on her dragon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like just a couple days after they were fucking born. Took him up on the dragon.
Well, yeah. So we could see her later. I thought it was Emma, right? And I'm like, is that Emma? I'm like, oh shit, until she says something. So
yeah, this is more of a just scene to sort of account for Rhaenys' granddaughter and the awkward nature of how, if you remember in season 1, you had Rhaenys' relationship with Rhaenyra was pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, it was.
That they've kind of moved into being allies gradually. So it's,
she thinks she fucking killed her kid.
I mean,
like
the thing is, if she knew the truth, it wouldn't be it would be better, but it's not like great,
Well, it's still the case of like, oh, so he's not dead. I just never get to see him again. All right, yeah.
And
cool.
you let me think he was dead the whole time. That's cool.
And I do like how they talk about like the resentment between fucking Daemon and Rhaenys has like always fucking been there. I do like how they mentioned that in there. I thought this scene was fine with Baela. I really like her next scene with Corlys. Holy fuck, I love that scene. I don't know why, but I just the scene with Corlys and Baela that we get to a little bit later is great.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to be careful with this the next scene.
I don't think there's actually any I don't think there's any tits or anything. I think you're good. There's a lot of body, but I don't think there. So this is a sequence where you see a target.
That'll be fine. Yeah, there you go. That sums up the scene.
I said Allison. It's Alyssa. God damn it. I was thinking the queen. Good
not
queen
Allison. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All these fucking names, these retards.
I know, dude.
But yeah, so this is basically Daemon fucking like some mysterious Targaryen woman in his dream, and with the last line, and she's like, "You're always so strong, Daemon. You were always stronger than your brother." Blah blah blah, and it's like you realize that that's his fucking mother that he's dreaming about fucking, and that maybe he ate her out while she was on her period. Maybe I don't know if that's what they implied there or not. I'm not sure.
And then Simon turns up, of course, being a part of this. He's the kind of guy you want around for these events.
Yeah,
it feels like essentially confirmation that Viserys is going to show up eventually, right? In one of these
I hope so,
bro.
Oh, they're setting it up. They're absolutely setting it up. Yes,
and I think it'll be cool to see, but I think also narratively, it just makes so much sense for that to be like the final thing that he has to come to terms
the final boss.
Because as much as he does really despise how weak he views Viserys, that is the one person who he's ever truly wanted approval from, and like maybe the one person he's ever actually loved, including Rhaenyra. And the reason that he might be so interested in Rhaenyra was because it was part of Viserys. That fucking screen, the screenshot.
Yeah.
It gives him the goose and he immediately passes it over to the.
I think you get one for Simon, right? I'll be careful a sec because the skip function is like every 10 seconds or something, so you don't get the. Yeah, I've been fond of their direction in this season as well. A lot of great imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll like confuse you for a few seconds, and then you'll sort of be like, "Oh, right, yeah, okay." There he is.
There he is.
I was gonna say the reason I like him so much, the actor and the character, is he just he comes across as very much experienced in almost everything that happens in this world, and for every decision this fucking madman Chaos King who's come here makes, you can see all this weight on his face of like, oh man, this is gonna do this and it's gonna do this. He doesn't listen to me very much, but if I gently push here and there and do everything he says, maybe we'll be okay. He seems like a very kind man. It's just kind of fucked over.
But he's also not afraid. Like I'm sure he is. Like he has a good sense of caution when it comes to Daemon, but he's willing to say things to him that no one else would. In terms of like him calling himself king and stuff, he is strong when it comes to that.
It always seems he formats it in a kind of, it's a reality. I'm not trying to undermine you. I'm literally just telling you like this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is useful to Daemon. It's probably why he doesn't have him killed or anything. He's like, you're actually pretty useful.
Daemon's still tripping balls.
Do you think, speaking of tripping balls with Alys, do we think Alys Rivers, if she is a real person and Mauler's theories doesn't have any credibility, which I don't know what they're doing with her. I didn't even think about it till you said something like that, but it could be. Do you think she knows Larys?
So there's like the notion that Larys knows that she's here and that she'll be the one to fuck with Daemon, like as a soldier sort of thing. Because
maybe
something that's worth thinking about. A lot of people have said, and I think you asked it, Gary. It's like, why is Daemon drinking this shit when it's clearly having an effect on him? And he even pointed out he didn't want to be poisoned. Now, it needs to be said, we have never seen him like in a very much encouraging way just drink up. We always see him, the two significant times when he has that cup, inspect it, look like, don't know about this. And the first time back in the previous, I think episode 3, you hear a gulp sound, and then he like is teleported into a different room. And to me, I was just like, is what they're trying to tell us there that he's refusing the drinks and she's spiking something else? Because it comes across to me like it would be really weird to highlight his notion of being poisoned, but simultaneously having to be like, oh, sure, I'll take a drink from a creepy witch lady. Let's go. I don't know. I feel like something else might be going on. It might not even be the drinks.
What if
it might not?
Gary, what if it's weirwood paste?
Weirwood paste. That's what I was thinking. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the inside of the drink yet. So there is a weirwood paste.
So like the same type of thing that that they made Bran drink.
Yes.
When he got up there with the Thread Crow, like
that may have a little Jojen in it.
That they may have a person in it, and based on what we saw her fucking mixing up, I mean,
Jojen paste
certainly looked like it could be something.
Yep.
I don't know.
We didn't get to see. There's definitely something going on, and it's definitely connected with the werewoods in some way. There's a promotional picture of Daemon standing in front of one at one point. So that's still coming up. But yep.
I really liked Daemon getting up to leave, and none of the other guys get up. And then Simon's like, come on. Let's get up. Yeah, here. It's like, I wish I could, like, I don't want to fucking get your channel booted down or anything, so I'm going to be trying to be careful. But yeah, this, like, come on. Just comfy.
The guy's still eating, yeah.
And this is where he confronts him about him calling himself king, which I kind of like. I get it. I get why it wouldn't be called king. It would be called King Consort. But it was like almost like they didn't want to call him Your Grace either. And I feel like he should be called Your Grace if he's the Queen's brother or Queen's.
So I think this is indicative of him getting closer to figuring out what he's going to do, which
Yep.
is, remember, the two choices were I serve Rhaenyra or I become king. And I think he's now thinking about, can I do both? She can be queen. I'm going to be king. We'll rule together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Like,
Gonna
that's
be
the
awesome.
compromise in his head. And so now he's like, I want to be referred to as king. That seems to be what he's settled on for now.
And that may have been his initial plan. I mean, you could argue that the reason that Daemon comes back and seduces Rhaenyra in episode 4 of season 1 or whatever that is, like the entire point of that may have been to defile her, to make her unable to marry off, and to force Viserys' hand into marrying her to him, so that regardless, even though he's got his inheritance taken away from him, that he will be king when it's all said and done.
But yeah, even Simon is like, are you doing treason? Oh, like, what's the plan here?
What are we doing? Kid, just give me a heads up. You know,
that's what's so funny about him and why I like him so much. He's like, listen, if you want, sure, but I'm just making sure like you understand how the labels work. Just being clear. Yes.
Allison Hightower. Yeah, this.
I mean, this scene is.
It's
might
rough.
be my favorite of the episode. Probably.
Yeah, it's really good how they did it. All the guys looking a little shamed, passing over, but it's the fact that she can't see like why she's not being picked. It's like,
I really like this shot.
We usurped the throne because it was a woman, right? You do know that.
Feels like you've got Aemond at the head of the table, but it's all like arbitrary. You know, it's like he's just sitting at the one head and then he'll just get up and go to the other one.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's sitting like the one that was made for him, that his brother gave him because his brother wanted him to have a seat at the table. That's where he's sitting. And then it's basically, hey, Aegon is, we don't know if he's ever going to recover. We need someone to rule as regent. And Allison's like, well, I did it while my husband was sick. I can do it again. Everyone's like, huh, that was different. Nothing was going on there, Allison.
Plainly she stated it of just like, yeah, no, it's going to be me. Everybody just sort of looking at each other.
And there's
a great moment where she makes her statement and the camera just shows everyone's like,
just like rolling their eyes. And it's a direct mirror of, well, not even a mirror. It's the same thing that Rhaenyra literally just went through with her council and how they felt about her ruling in a time of war. And I did like, I don't know if we skipped over it, or maybe it's the conversation with her and Jace, but Rhaenyra at one point does talk about it. She acknowledges it. She's like, you know, if I were a man, I would have learned all these things. I would have learned about war. I would have been able to hold a sword. I would have been like doing all these things. But instead, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about it. I learned how to hold a cup, and I learned all these lords' names. How does that help me in a time of war? And for all the, I feel like they put Rhaenyra over a lot in this show in general. But I do like that she actually fucking acknowledges that she doesn't know what she's doing, and that's why she needs Corlys.
Yep.
And yeah, it was mentioned, but they all figure out the facts of the matter, the nature of, you know, succession, who's who knows what, and Aemond doesn't make a single claim for himself, just watches everyone do it for him. Because he's already done everything he needs to do to make this happen. He knows it.
I suppose, interestingly enough, the Maester kind of makes the case for Alicent briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Says, yeah, she's done it before. It's not a great case for her, but you know, still.
Yeah, and they just have this lingering shot getting closer and closer to his. You get a strong sense, you've lost your power of what little you had left.
Yep.
Which she already recognized to Rhaenyra. She doesn't really have much of anything left, and this was her last attempt to use it, and it's just a reality of there's none left to use.
I suppose it's interesting that, you know, last episode, her awareness of her inability to really affect much change essentially caused her to lash out at Aegon.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because of that, now it's Aemond's in, and he's not very interested in anything you have to say at all. So
Well, she's
Like,
done
yeah.
even arguably less to secure Aemond to her
Bro,
side.
This fucking look from we've seen this look from Allison so many times, and I fucking love it. Like her,
She's a
like
good
just
actress.
like I like her fucking wide eyes and almost on the verge of like a fucking breakdown. I love it. And the two biggest hitters are you kind of expect the other people on this council to okay go Aemond, but she has very good big connections with Laris and with Kristen, and Laris is like, you know, I agree, Your Grace. It should be Aemond, and we can't very well put a woman there. And then she finally turns to her last hope, Kristen, her sworn sword and protector, the person she's been fucking on the side. And he looks straight down at the fucking table and is like, it should be Aemond.
It was like the whole season has just been her continual slide into like irrelevance in terms of not irrelevance as a character in the story. I find her a really interesting character, but more so like in the world, just the gradual demise of her station, as well as her own.
Well, yeah, because remember it was in episode 9 of season 1. It was her and Otto that were competing with pretty similar levels of power to puppeteer Aegon. Like, arguably, that's a major player sort of station, and it's only been weeks, and she's realized, shit, I'm out. Like, this is not a good position.
And I do like watching Aemond grab the king, the ball, the little council balls that they have, and just fucking grab it, sit down in the king's chair, place it, and take charge.
He just rolls out a bunch of questions, answer, question, answer, order, go.
He's ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
He is. You know, I didn't get to talk about it. You guys did, but he took this shit so seriously. He took his training so seriously. He took learning High Valyrian so seriously. Like he fucking cares. And he's a fucking psychopath, but he actually might make a good king. Like everybody, like they know he's gonna fucking do a lot of things that he's gonna kill a lot of fucking people. But in terms of when you do need an iron fist and when you do need to put people in their place, when you do need to take action, Aemond's ready.
Yes, he is. And Allison's out. She knows it. I thought she was going to start picking at her nails at that point.
I thought she was possibly going to explode, be like, this is unacceptable or something like that, but she held on. I don't know what she's going to do, though.
Hey, your favorite character, Hugh!
Hugh! Whenever he pops up, I'm always like, oh, look who it is. Hugh is back. He's going to be doing Hugh things.
His daughter's still sick. His wife's still like, where's the food coming from, Hugh? And
he's like, the king promised to pay us. And she's like, what the fuck good is that worth? We're just going to fucking sit here and starve and die.
It does feel a little naive. I would have thought it would be like, he promised me ages ago and nothing's happened and I don't speak to him and apparently he went to war. And it's just like, yeah, I think we should find another avenue, which is what convinces him, I think, to leave, right? It's not going to happen. Not much to say on that scene because it's kind of like we're sort of waiting for where it'll go.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and Aemond ordered the cut down of the rat catchers, which to me felt like symbolic of the difference between him and Aegon is going to be pragmatism versus just leading with pure emotion, essentially, on his part. Just being like, what the fuck, why are they still up? It's been nothing but a blight for the people.
Cut them down. They cut down the rat catchers. Guess who's still there?
Mm-hmm.
The dog.
The faithful dog, who walks in behind them. And I actually assume at this point, since we've seen so much of this fucking dog, that's going to have a repercussion. Don't know what it'll be, or if it'll just be that we see the dog around. But the fact that he's in the gates now, right? He's in the
Bran is inside the dog.
Ah.
Laris is inside the dog.
Laris is inside the dog. I'm telling you how this is going to end.
I think we need it. Fucking Ryan Condal, do it, please. Make Laris a Greenseer. Make him be warging the rats. Because we understand how Mysaria knows some of the things she knows because we've seen her little birds, like Varys had little children, whatever, working for him. We've seen these things. We have no idea how Laris knows what he knows, other than just being kind of a creep and skulking around places, but I just love the idea that he is using the rats to listen in on things going on in the Red Keep. The Strongs have blood of the first men. They live in a
Yes.
house full of fucking weirwoods. They're literally like the biggest like what's it called? Isle of Faces is
Yes.
right in the
Right there.
backyard of Harrenhal, like across the fucking lake. Like I don't know if it's true or not, but I would fucking love it if it was.
Wonder if we get that. Wonder if they'll take us there.
Might be too out there for some people.
Get a pretty
Kind of cool.
goated coal scene here.
Yes.
It's very enjoyable to watch him essentially explain to Alicent just how much what he saw has changed him completely. And the nature of that a lot of people come to conclude, right? Because this is a thing in Game of Thrones. It's just when dragons go to war, it's a fucking disaster.
Yep.
More so than usual. And I did like his performance is pretty strong. The actor, right? Like his voice was shaking a bit when he said the armor melted. It's like it's more than just people dying. It's the horror, the fear of how this kind of power against man, and they've let loose the dragons. And all Alicent has to say is like, "Are you not following my orders anymore?" It's like, you're not really getting the point here.
No, she completely missed the point of what he just said. It's like your orders mean shit. And this aside from the council.
Yeah, and I didn't give you authority to say my, or I didn't give you permission to speak my name because he says Alicent or whatever.
Yep.
Well, again, great use of showing us the power dynamic shifting. He is the Lord Commander and the Hand of the King, and she's not in a significant position of power anymore. So he calls her Alicent, and she's like, "What the fuck? You can't do that." He's like, "Okay, it's fine."
So yeah, they broke up.
Probably. Well, yeah, she says, "You only loyal to me at night. Are you like a moth? We run away during the day," which I thought was really funny coming from her, considering she's essentially the same in a lot of ways, right? She's her failings are stacking up completely.
She's a massive hypocrite, and I think deep down she knows.
Well, yeah, I think this is like panic from her. She's essentially losing everything. And I do like his logic too. He said that I want this to be over. We're going to be doing some horrible things. Let's get someone who can get this done with the best moves and get it over. That's all he wants now.
Yeah, you're seeing him change drastically, and it was the horror of war of dragons fighting dragons. For the first time since, well, we don't know if they fought. They probably did in Oval area, but we don't know.
Oh, which leads to the gates.
The gates are closed. This is so Aemond like gives like a couple succinct orders: cut down the rat catchers, which is probably a good idea because I'm about to lock in all the small folks. So let's not make them as mad. Plus it stinks. It's also his first thing was like, what the hell's going on in the Riverlands? Because it's going to be kind of important. I think they've been setting that up for a season and a half. The small folk of King's Landing can no longer leave because they need people to work on stuff. They can't have an empty city to rule. And they will run around Westeros sowing the seeds of discourse.
This would be the significant consequences of the gullet being blocked for as long as it has by Corlys's army. It's cool to see.
Blockade. Yeah. But they remembered.
They did.
They kind of remembered about Corlys's
They kind of remembered.
fleet.
They didn't just forget they remembered Corlys's fleet in the gullet.
The fleet wasn't forgotten.
The fleet wasn't forgotten. So that is progress, folks. That is progress.
The fleet and the gullet might play a big fucking role down the line.
So, and it's a slow burn, and it seems like it's kind of nothing, but it's not, especially when you're dealing with war and resources and there's no food. They even show somebody picking at some fruit, and they're all molded. So you pick the least molded fruit.
Yeah, things are desperate here for sure.
Yep.
And then over to the twins.
It's Jace fucking taking charge right here. We've got a couple of Freys that are not evil fucks like the other show. Now, the House Frey has always been kind of like
Slithery, slippery.
Inbred. I mean, they're all fucking inbred. Okay, but like they're the deep south of Westeros, even though that's not technically where the house is, but that's Hollywood's and like the stereotype of it. That's kind of what they are. The white trash. I'd sympathize with them.
Mm-hmm.
But House Frey, but this Lady Frey in particular is pretty shrewd, and so they know the Northmen are marching. They have it, and they want Harrenhal. They want Harrenhal. They just come out with it, and he's okay, but you can't just like instead of a stupid marriage pact. They're like, yeah, you can't just let the Northmen through. I'm gonna need something a little bit more, a bent knee, which is a big deal for a house this big going against its liege lord, but we'll see some of that later. And it's still a big deal, and I don't think we get a full. Did we get an answer? We did later, right?
Well, yeah. Basically,
Kind of.
the answer is, hey, if you if they let them through, like they want Harrenhal. You know what I mean?
So give him Harrenhal, and it's got to come from the queen, not from him. So
yes, yeah.
House Griggs, that's what it is.
Again, almost every
has it
shot
right.
just looks expensive. All props, the backgrounds, the way people are dressed. You just like, yeah, all the money is on show.
The costumes and the armor are so far superior to any other fucking fantasy show out there right now.
Hey, look, right, Rings of Power Season 2, it's going to blow you away.
Oh, I can't wait.
This amazing set.
Month and a half away. So the phrase, that's what they want. They're sitting at, I love seeing the twins again. I think it's great.
Yeah, significant landmark for sure.
Yes. So Ben
we got, of course, because we're worried about the Lannisters eventually dealing, because he wants the northern armies to help deal with them.
So they do mention that the Lannisters are on the march, and I brought that up earlier. That's a fucking huge army, and that's not even. We're not even talking about the Tyrells or the Tarleys or the High Towers yet. Some of the major houses out there, right? The phrase is a major house. That's kind of the first one we've gotten to since the big battle, and Lady Aaron, she's got 15,000 troops, but that's a good number. It's a good number, but it's not enough to even to take on the Lannisters. Not even close.
A bit ominous shot here.
Yes. Overlooking Harrenhal, where Daemon is out there working, chopping some wood.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I'm like flipping in and out of reality, tripping balls. I don't know if like walking around with an axe is a good idea, but there you go. He's chopping wood and still hearing voices, and he's still talking to. So Alys Rivers is pretty insolent with him too. Like the way she talks to him, which also leads me to believe that this might be in his head, which would be a very interesting take on her.
So what I was thinking, by the way, Gary, is she deals with his wound, wraps it and stuff. You know what I was thinking about from Game of Thrones?
What's that?
Khal Drogo.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there could be nothing. Could be that she's actually here, but it just feels like opportunities to poison are everywhere, Don't know if that's her goal though, as opposed to just fucking with him. But
well, I like that. I mean, is she working with Larys? Probably not, but like that's a possibility.
When he's more comfortable with her than one might expect, and I'm curious if there's gonna be more of an explanation for that, or if they feel he likes her kind of for the fact that she's a bit abrasive. You can always go that direction. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Respects that a little bit. It's like, look at this little thing talking back. It's adorable. But man, she knows a lot of specific stuff, so she either can crawl into his head, or is Green's here, or is a ghost in Harrenhal.
Well, and she's
Or
warned
just
as
a
well.
word witch.
What she essentially lets the audience know what that decision he made with the Blackwood was in relation to the Brackens, right? Like she says the repercussions, because she said like anything, these kinds of things would make an upright man or stand, like the sick or whatever. And then he's like, you mistake me for that.
Yeah. He wants to be the fucking badass so bad.
Yeah.
You get the news that he's got what he wanted, but exactly the nature of what he wanted is a little bit more complicated.
Little more complicated, and this is why we all like Daemon. Matt Daemon Targaryen. Probably one of the worst fucking kings ever if he became king.
He's horrible.
Yeah.
He's done so many horrible things.
Yeah. Really good, king of the city, king of Flea Bottom, leader of the Gold Cloaks, good man of the people. I think that's good. Be a bad king. So yeah, we find out the repercussions of that. And then we have this Corlys, still sad.
Naturally.
Ryan, you were fond of this scene. What did you think?
Yeah, so you have, again, this is Corlys who's fucking lost. He feels like he's lost everything. He still has a granddaughter sitting right in front of him. But like them obviously sharing what they remember about her. And you have Bela, who truly, and as much as I dislike kind of Rhaenys throughout this entire thing, I really like the way that she's, I guess, impacted different people. And like in this moment where Corlys does really feel like fucking everything is like gone, like Bela is kind of like, to me, kind of showing like her grandmother's strength in this moment. She acknowledges who Corlys is and all of the things he did and all the things that he's done kind of were for her and for them in some ways to rise his own tide, but in also way to like make up for what she lost when she missed out on the throne. And so then like having that conversation and her realize, like her telling him who he is kind of, and making him remember that. And then I really liked at the end where he tries to do what Rhaenys wanted him to do, which was to make her the heir of Driftmark. Yep. And she's like, I'm fire and blood. For your heir, you're going to need someone who's salt and sea. And walks away from it. Which is going to be very impactful to which one, that's not what Rhaenys wanted. Rhaenys wanted her to be the heir. And Corlys, like in one last effort to give Rhaenys something that he couldn't, tries to do it. And she denies it immediately, but kind of sets into motion what Corlys, who else Corlys might have in his life. Who might be able, who might make an heir,
Anyone who's been having his own scenes that remind me of Hugh in the sense of who are you?
Any scenes with Rhaenys who like walks up and he's like, wow, your mother must have been really attractive. I know exactly who your fucking father was. I wonder.
No, yeah, it's a really solid scene. And I kind of appreciate not only the line, the fire and blood versus salt and sea, but also just the nature of, he seemed a little like compensatory, like you could be my heir. And she's like, oh, come on. We both know that's not the way this is going. It doesn't suit, which is part of what he was trying to say to Rhaenys, right? Because I think Rhaenys' angle was more of a familial in line. It makes sense to choose, but he was right in what he said. It's like, you're going to want to pick someone who actually is good for the job. And I think she recognizes that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to be Hand of the King.
He's going to be Hand of the King. I haven't gotten the impression yet in this show, but Bela's like real betrothed to Jace, right? And she
is, yeah.
And she really likes him. Like she really has feelings, like genuine feelings for him.
So they are close. I do think one thing we missed. I wish you could have got another episode in season 1, maybe a middle episode between the big time jump between episodes 5 and 6, episode 5.5, because one thing that was present in the books that didn't isn't present here at all is how close Daemon and Rhaenyra's families were. That Rhaenyra and Lena and Daemon spent a lot of time together, and their kids spent a lot of time together, which is the reason they end up being betrothed to each other. And you don't really get that in this.
Nope.
And I don't think it was like the most important thing. There's a lot of other things for them to cover and shit, but I wish we could have got a little bit of that. And we do get to see like Bela very openly is talking with Jace about his father not being her uncle.
Yeah.
You know, like, so they clearly are very close in that way.
Yeah.
And trust each other a lot. And they talk before he goes off to wherever.
Yeah.
And he trusts her enough to not tell his mother.
Which
I thought that said I would make you my hair when those.
And she said no.
She said no.
This conversation was fun. It was quite honest, and this guy said, I think because I just don't know him as a character that well, but obviously he's been Mr. I don't think a lot of you on the council. He's been very aggressive, and I just like that she's like, I want you to go to Harrenhal. He's like, you want to get rid of me? Like it's pretty obvious, and that probably plays into it somewhat, right? But it
does, but it also plays into his loyalty, right? She just straight up said, like, the reason you're here, is out of loyalty to my father and what you promised.
Yeah, he would never kneel to the High Towers, is what she said. But also, both of those aspects must be why he would be best suited to go and see Daemon, right? It's need someone like that because he's going to need a spine to be able to account for what Daemon has done or is doing.
Yeah, somebody needs to go up there, like now. That needs.
Yeah, I mean, somebody should have gone sooner, but you know,
like now that Melee's is gone, like you have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing because Melee's was patrolling the gullet for the sake of the ships, right? So, you know, it's only a matter of time before Vhagar can essentially just go to the gullet and burn the shit out of it. So you got to need to figure out what the fuck the plan is.
God, there's something I can't say, Ryan.
About the gullet?
Yeah. But there's something Otto Hightower. See, that's the thing about the show and its subtlety. There's something they showed him doing, but they didn't say anything. They didn't say a fucking thing about it. But they've done that before in Game of Thrones. That's all I can say.
So we got a big old scene of repercussions.
Yes, of just a visual moment. And we'll see if that even happens. But I'm thinking it will. So now
I thought it was so funny, by the way. He wakes him up and he's like, "What is dessert ready?"
I know. Is the pudding ready? It's the hour of the wolf. Nothing ever good ever happens at the hour of the wolf, Ryan. Never.
Never.
And
well. I want to see the hour of the wolf.
So
A little bit later, maybe season 4.
But yeah, we got the River Lords, and they're pissed at the treatment of the Brackens, and they are like, "Fuck you, we don't care about your dragon. We're not."
What I liked about this scene is they gradually ramp up the accusations and the proof and the repercussions of it, and then Daemon's having his moments again with his hallucinations, his brain's not working properly, and that like little sort of element of weakness, despite the fact that he said, "I'm a Targaryen, king, have care," that sort of thing. I think it gives them a sense of feeling rather powerful here, and he gets some things said to him that I think otherwise may not have been. Like, you will regret this shit.
Well, it seems like it may start to actually come and undermine him at really inopportune moments like this.
Simon just looks fucking panicked throughout this whole thing of like, oh god, you're making so many mistakes. But yeah, I don't know. Daemon's chaotic. I do what I want. Nature is he's coming up against a world he's just not familiar with at all.
Yeah,
I feel like it's. I mean, it got to be because everybody in general is feeling a little bit more confident, outside of the main royalty.
It reminds me of. Do you ever see Seven Psychopaths? Ryan, Gary.
Mm-mm.
There's a moment in that. It's memed a lot. Christopher Walken's in it, and he walks up to someone who has a shotgun, and the guy is like, stop. He's like, no. He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
I have a shotgun. He goes, I don't care. It's this whole like, I have a dragon. It's like, yeah,
So
okay. And obviously the dragon can burn a shit ton of people, but it's just it really does feel like a matter of as long as they sort of go to bat for each other, as in this case the river people or whatever, they'll feel a strength that is difficult for one dragon rider to control.
plus you need the men, so you need to politic, which he's not very good at. So
No,
No,
he's going through
he's
some
not.
stuff too. he's got his own stuff going on. Okay,
Yeah, but I mean, if he explained that to them, that wouldn't do him any favors, would it?
well, not with lords. He'd probably have a better chance, if he had time raising up the small folk. But he's got nothing to pay him with right now. And they
I'm just
mentioned that
waiting
too.
for the moment where he's like, Simon, what do I do? He's tell me my wise advice.
And he's like, finally, he asked me.
Maybe just go. That might be best. We'll
You
carry
talked
on.
about leaving. A curse this castle is.
Oh yeah, so the handmaidens arrived, and like I said, it was that was the girl from season 1
Yes.
who moved into the tavern and is now here. So yeah, just
The one
Who got her
was,
ass slapped?
Yeah.
she did by guy who's friends with guy who claims to have blood that relates to Targaryens, which would be our maybe another potential. What do we call it? Dragon seed. So
Ulf.
Ulf.
His name was Ulf.
Ulf.
Ulf. Look at all these shots. They're so great.
All these mirroring shots. You saw the one of earlier
Rhaenyra
when
and
Daemon
Daemon.
when Daemon was leaning up against the thing. Rhaenyra was also it's like poetry. It rhymes.
This is
It
great.
rhymes.
So
Right,
bad.
right.
Is this not such a he's like born to play this. He knows what he's doing.
He's a great, he's such a weird looking motherfucker.
Yep.
And he's perfect for a show like this as the storms are going off and he's just staring at what he's always fucking wanted.
All this work is finally kind of he's essentially there. There's like a couple more things that need to be done.
Things are looking pretty good for him at this time. His brother is bacon right now. Phil, and he's never gonna be able to heal. It's looking pretty fucking good.
He showed everyone his penis.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
That's a key aspect of becoming king.
And didn't care. No fucks to give.
Look at that.
Yeah.
They certainly did improve on the throne from Game of Thrones.
Well, I appreciate how, because you've seen the image, presumably the one that George said is close to the most accurate.
Yeah.
They made the seat already look like that, and then they put a bunch of stairs that stack the swords on them to, I think, come as close as they can to get exactly because it's so unfeasible.
Well,
So
yeah,
this throne's way better than the Game of Thrones throne.
they couldn't find a sound stage big enough, and they wanted to use a real castle hall, and no castle hall exists that they had access to fit the real throne.
Oh, okay.
I like part of this one that is it going to be like canonized that they take part of this down or something, or are they just going to try and ignore the fact that they're different?
Maybe a dragon burns it and they rebuild it.
No.
I think it could be totally feasible that fucking Big Dick Bobby B is like, I'm too fucking drunk to be walking around all these swords. Get these out of here.
Yep.
I could totally see something like that.
Well, we
Go
had a
find
cool
the
model of Valeria that they completely destroyed. So
And then they removed. It's no fair.
I know.
But yes, Helena
Fucking
asked him if it was
Helena.
worth it.
And I think his answer would be, yeah. I think that's what he would say. Yeah.
Is it worth it? Let me work it.
Yeah.
Put my thing down, flip it, and reverse
Just the
it.
look on his face. Just it definitely comes across as he is very satisfied with himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's really
Yeah.
not much to read
making a
into here,
sandwich.
I think.
maybe this is for all the shippers out there, the fanfics about Helena and Aemond. Maybe there's a reason she's asking it that way too, because maybe his son is dead. I'm just throwing that in there, but
maybe. And we got another scene for making you feel bad for Aegon. Got a bit melty and calls for his mum once she leaves.
God, so fucking these fucking families, man.
They're terrible. They're awful. They deserve everything they have coming.
And as Ellison is like walking, there it is, hoarsely. I was going to say he whispered it, but evidently you said it like a horse says it. So.
That's what that means, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is checking out Visenya with Vhagar.
Yeah.
Visenya, warrior fucking queen, wielder of dark sister, proprietor of dark fucking magic, maybe to make Maegor the Cruel. Not really well looked upon by a lot of people.
Nope.
As Jace intimates later in this scene. But yeah, that's the second time now we've seen her looking at that specific page. The first time we saw her getting her hair braided like Visenya right after looking at that picture.
Good detail.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I sure hope we get that show. That would be a fun show to watch.
Another parallel, it feels like, here as well, because they almost don't communicate, and then Rhaenyra stops that from happening. He's like, whoa, and then make sure he's appreciated for his achievements, but simultaneously told what needs to be worked on, which is the whole communication thing. And it's that difficult thing. This happens in Game of Thrones a lot, where it's like, you're my family, and it's like, yes, but I'm also a really important political asset, so you're kind of going to have to figure that out, where I can go, what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because the move here he did was pretty good.
Yes. It's kind of like when your kid wins a fight in school. You're supposed to be mad at him,
but you can't be.
You can't be. You're like, don't get in fights in school. Did you win?
Do they know to fear you?
Yes. So
it
they
is fun to assess the dragons on a strict power, like they are, trading cards sort of thing. It's like, well, this one's got this one's got this, and just the I like the whole Cyrax is quicker. It's like Maelys was quicker. It's like, well, Maelys took out Sunfire. It's like it's like a little fantasy battle of
except it wasn't Maelys.
That's the thing, yeah. Maelys did not 2v1. A lot of people call it a 2v1. It's like, that doesn't count.
Not really. I mean, Vhagar, he just came in and knocked out Sunfire, and that was it. So it wasn't really a 2v1.
Maelys took a bit of what you could call fire damage, and one of her horns got bitten off. But I mean, Maelys was like a fucking 95% power when she goes against Vhagar. It wasn't much of a 2v1.
That was a 1v1.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And she did a little bit with Vhagar, you know what I mean?
She did a great job.
She did.
I've seen people talk about it. We talked about it at the time, but the strategy, you can clearly tell, like I sort of storyboarded it. There was an effort to show tactics, like a dragon attacking another. I saw someone mention, I don't know how much truth there is to this, that Maelys dragged her foot through the water before she attacked Vhagar to like help with the grip or like sharpening making it stab better when she clawed Vhagar. I was like, I don't know if that's a thing.
I didn't pick that up, but
that's what I mean. Like I've seen people.
I just thought it was because it looked cool.
I thought it was because it looked cool. I don't know. I was like, is that true? Is that how that works? I don't know. But obviously, the strapping and the claws going first both felt like a recognition of the experience of the riders versus Sunfire, who with Aegon was just like, breathe fire. Yeah. That's what dragons do.
Salt. I see it. Yeah, I thought it was to look cool or to say goodbye to Corlys.
Oh yeah, that works too.
Yeah. I mean, I liked how like she turned like upside down. Like that's actually like fucking birds do that shit. You know what I mean? Like when they're like birds of prey, like when they're fighting each other like that, they actually do shit like that. So I like how they incorporated that. It makes sense.
So they're discussing dragons and their lack of them. And they need more, and they've got a couple on the island right now that could do some serious damage, but they have no riders. And it's Jace that approaches this subject, which I like, and it
Yes.
totally makes sense because they're talking about the purity of Targaryen blood and how much it takes to fly a dragon. And he's all, well, you don't have to be all Targaryen to fly a dragon.
It is kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
Like acknowledging the reality they're both aware of as actually a bit of information that can help them figure something out here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So, and obviously, Targaryens have been on Dragonstone a long time, and they like to fuck. And we have talked before. They mentioned in the book that the small folk of that island, fishermen and fishwives, and all, it was an honor to practice the rite of the first night. So the fisherman would let Targaryen bang his wife. It's like, hey, maybe we'll get a dragon feed out of this, get taken care of.
They were the first cucks.
Yes. Yes. So they start talking about dragon seeds, and they set that, and they've been setting it up very slowly the entire season. And according to the scenes next week, we're going to get the dragon trials. I don't know if we're going to get all of them.
Maybe the start of them. We'll see.
Yep.
But I mean, Daemon brought it up at the end of season 1, you know, when they
Yes.
started laying out pieces. He's like, we do have these, and he sings Vermithor's song, you know, and all that shit. But Vermithor is a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
This can negate Vhagar. Vermithor is the second biggest dragon. Maybe there might be a couple others, but in terms of dragons that have been ridden before that we know about, like that we know can ride or can be ridden, Vermithor is the second biggest dragon in the world behind Vhagar.
Yep.
That feels like that could be really interesting in terms of the conflict. I could imagine Aemond flying around like, haha, look at me, I'm the best. And another dragon showing up that's really big. I think I'm like, oh shit. Like, oh fuck.
I even think Vhagar would be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Not comfortable.
But the other part which they do address, and I'm glad they addressed it, is, you know, how comfortable are we going outside the Targaryen family, you know? If we have these people that are bastards, and you know that who knows
or
what
other houses,
doing, like what will their motivations be, and how can we make sure that they don't eventually turn on us? And like it brings as much strength as it can bring you. It also brings a lot more complexity to the wielding of these nuclear bombs in the world. It's like proliferation, right? It's all of a sudden,
exactly.
It's not just the United States and Russia that have nukes. All of a sudden, all these other countries in between also might have nuclear power.
And so it's like, what are you going to do to secure their loyalty? What is it that they need? What do they want? And how are you going to keep them in line? So it is actually like a really interesting narrative idea that it introduces this big risk reward of this could turn the tide, but like you are getting rid of your monopoly on this power in the process. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're going after these people, we're assuming that they're bastards and stuff like that. It's like bastards aren't looked upon very well in Westeros. They're not viewed as the most honorable people. They're not the most loyal people.
No. You will always
and so
get
closes the episode.
So
I thought it was a good episode.
I liked it.
I actually think it was a really good episode.
Yes.
There's going to be people out there that are like, I didn't get to see a dragon fight. It was too slow. I like.
That's what they sound like, by the way. That accent as well.
But like you have to have an episode like this after coming off of what we came off. We got a big payoff last week, and it's because of the setup. And now we have to deal with the fallout of that big payoff, and also start setting up the next big payoff.
Yeah,
and I think like. I'm not saying that this is going to be like my favorite episode to go back and rewatch. Certainly not. But I think it was really good. And I think it showed us where all these characters are after this very big, impactful thing.
When you go back and rewatch, it's not like you're skipping this episode either. Like,
no, exactly.
Seek out, you know,
this is the way that you make television. That's
Yes.
the reality. You can't be making television where every single episode needs to have something crazy happening in each one. Like you have to treat it in the same way that, if you were thinking about a film, it's not like every individual scene is going to be insane. You need your build up. You need to establish character motivation.
Let's imagine if there was some writers for an IP, I don't know, I'll just off the top of my head, Star Wars, that wasn't so obsessed with lightsabers and spectacle and maybe focused on a little bit of character, making battles worth a damn and building something up. Like that battle that we saw yesterday was built up not just in this, it was built in season 1. So like they're building that from season 1, and that's why it meant something. It wasn't just, oh, we got yellow and purple lightsabers together. Well, fuck.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
No, exactly. It's it absolutely enhances and makes it valuable when you get the really crazy episode where all of the awesome stuff happens. Your mid-season finale, your season finale. You don't get there unless you're willing to be patient and take the time to develop all of these plot threads and these characters and foreshadows. Develop themes. So this is all like this show is. Season 2 is functioning well, as far as I'm concerned.
Instead of writing a Winds of Winter, by the way, we have to acknowledge this past July 11th, 12th, 13 years. 13 years since
really
Dance with Dragons. Yes, 13 years. 13 years. But George R. R. Martin did write a multi-paragraph blog on the importance of getting the Targaryen banner right. And I appreciate this. I think this energy could have been put into, I don't know, finishing Winds of Winter. But at some point, Game of Thrones put 4 legs on the Targaryen banner. It's back to 2 legs. And man, he felt fucking strongly about it, to where he wrote like an essay on dragons and how his dragons work. And it is pretty interesting that he says his dragons are not nomadic at all. That's why you didn't see dragons spread throughout the world. They pretty much hung out in Valeria. They would travel once in a while, and they mainly hung out in Dragonstone, and then they were moved to King's Landing, where they would stay, but they would be much happier at Dragonstone, by the way. So he gets that fantasy needs to be grounded. This is just the last sentence in it. So he goes on and on and on, and it's great. It was a great read, actually. I liked it. Fantasy needs to be grounded. It is not simply a license to do anything you like. Smog and Toothless may both be dragons, but they should never be confused. Ignore canon, and the world you've created comes apart like tissue paper.
I've seen speculation on what he meant by it and which show he's attacking and everything, and I think it's just a fair warning about, things in general, but that there are choices, as people may be aware of already, in House of the Dragon that he's not fond of.
There are some, but I think that some of the headlines that are like coming out, like from Collider, George R. R. Martin like doesn't like House of the Dragon. He's also had like very multiple flowing like posts about how many of the things he fucking loves in this show.
He's directly involved in this show.
Now there was a line where he said that like the writers were meeting for season 3, but he doesn't plan on being there. And so like people took that line and like took a bunch of shit, which I don't know if he's been at meetings with writers before, or if it's mostly just him and Ryan Condal.
I think it's him and Ryan Condal.
I think it's him and Ryan Condal working together for the most part. So I think people really like kind of took it and ran with it.
He was talking about certain dragons in certain locations, I think, right? Something like that.
Yes.
And that the implication, I think, is either currently or in future, he's not a huge fan of the geography for where dragons are going or are, or something like that. Because I remember reading something he said like a lot of them should be on Dragonstone, but they're not. So we'll see.
We'll see what he's talking about. Who knows?
I don't even really know like what dragon he would be talking about. Like, to me, it
might be something that hasn't happened yet. I don't know.
Maybe it seems
could be about Game of Thrones. Who knows?
Other than I guess maybe Sea Smoke, who is just kind of like wandering a little bit and just seems like restless or whatever. But I'm not sure.
Remember when J.K. Rowling forgot the producer's name now, warned the producer of Harry Potter, it's like, don't leave out the elves. You're going to need those elves, the house elves. And they didn't listen.
Before we get to that, I've been up for like
Go.
fucking 36 hours and I got a long day ahead of me. So I'm going to get out of here, but glad I could be back. Sorry I missed last week.
It's all right. I'll see
all
you
good.
next week when you get back. Have
Yep.
fun going through security.
Yeah, I got fucking, I don't know if it was a wanding or if it was like an actual assault, but there may have been penetration involved.
Oh,
I'm just
whoa.
saying, they're being very thorough over there.
Okay.
So I didn't want to have to turn my head and cough when I got frisked.
All
You never know.
right, brother.
All right, I'll talk to you guys
Talk
later.
to you soon.
That's
Bye,
lovely,
Ryan.
dude.
All right, we're gonna get through the soups here before I pass out. My stream earlier went long.
Yes, sir.
Tired. Dakota Stanton for $5. Allison deserves. Oh, we didn't mention. We did mention that Daemon in a dream fucked his mom. Okay. Dakota Stanton for $5. Allison deserves everything she gets. Yeah, she earned it. It's a fucked up situation, but you know,
Yeah,
she
I mean, I
heard
don't know
what
where
she wanted
they're
to hear.
going exactly, but you know, I'm assuming she's going to try and pull weight with her power, and it's going to go bad.
Yep. Dakota Stanton for $5 says Jace leveled up this episode. Yes, he did.
Mhm.
High guy for £2 British. MVP Jace. Balo was awesome too. These characters, actual characters. Sam Wallace art for $10. This episode wasted a lot of time on Mango Ooga Booga, and no planet is any granddaughter lecturer. He paw like that. I still like show, but god damn, this is a B team episode. Mango Ooga Booga.
I don't know. I don't like Ooga Booga, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was plenty of scenes that were working real well, and you can see they're moving things into place for the future, which is, you know, kind of what episodes 1, 2, and 3 did.
Vermithor for 20 says good stream last night with Gary, Ryan, and Jeremy. Oh, thank you. Could have been Merax's skull that we saw in the background on Dragonstone. It's not. It's Balerion. We could have finally seen all three of the house. That's true. Jace is turning into a good character. Hale, he is. He is quite kingly. Good air.
I don't know
Gilbert,
if I'd say he's like turning into a good character in the sense that like he was mediocre before. I think it was just a matter of he didn't get a whole lot of
he has
attention
character.
at the time.
Yeah. He was just kind of there, and now he's a part of the story. And
Which
Ryan
I'm glad
Condell
to see.
did. Yes, Ryan Condell said this season's about the kids. It's all about the kids. Gilbert Kitchens for $9.99. Cole carries a dragon head into King's Landing expecting a celebration, but then almost goes full Jeb. Please clap, Bush. Yep. Chef Nick Nero. Hail. Been a member for 40 months. Hail, brother. Nathan Cassidy says, I got to admit, I winced when they were peeling off Aegon's armor or putting the bone. That was,
They setting his leg back. Yeah.
setting his leg back is bad. Also, love the conversation at the end between Jace and the Queen. That was very good. That was actually very good.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Wallace art for $5. Honestly, Cole was the only interesting character this episode. Everything else doing plot setup, but he's changing. Have I not spared you? Best line.
Yeah, I mean, Cole is curious how people are going to react to it because like the show's clearly putting in efforts to make him understandable almost completely as a human being at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like waking up going, shit got out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Shit's getting out of hand. This is not what I
Out
what
of
I wanted.
hand of the king.
MJ Bull 515 for $5. Do you think the show has shown adequately why Allison thinks Aemond is some kind of monstrous person?
Well,
think it
the
was
main
more than
thing that
enough.
you draw it from is what happened to Luke.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what she thinks happened, like what she thinks Aemond chose to do in that situation.
That's his mom. She knows damn well that he's responsible for Aegon being burned. She knows damn well.
Yeah.
That's why she's like, what happened?
Well, the fact that Cole couldn't even say, "What do you mean? What happened?" Like it was a battle, and Aegon, he fought valiantly, but Rhaenys got him.
I've got two sons who's tried to put some shit past their mom. Fucking good luck. And I laughed when they got busted. I was like, nice try. Do better next time.
Too bad.
Do better. King Tigger Tank for $10 says, I am currently in the great state of Texas, hail, for military retraining, having to be away from my family and friends, but having you and the others to listen to each day helps a ton. Thank you. Oh, thanks for being out there. Hope your training's done quickly and successfully, and you get back to the family. Thanks for the $10. Hail, Texas, by the way. It's kind of nice. Only like 90 degrees today. Megatar for €5. Hugh's wife is such a pointless character and will die soon to push Hugh to the blacks. Also, name dropping Tumbleton out of nowhere was done poorly. They mentioned High Heart. Who got the High Heart reference? I like that stuff. I mean, Tumbleton it's a bit of a stretch, but whatever. So was mentioned. High Heart's at least in the Riverlands. I got to go back to the chat. We all know that's one of the best chapters that goes to High Heart. Come on. Josh Kelsey has dropped $10. Hail, Josh. Hail. Thank you very much. Doesn't say anything, walks away. Daniel Gray for $5. Have y'all heard about Craig's Game Award show? I have. I vote the award status should be called the Beaklers in honor of the world's greatest gamer. I did too. I submitted that. I'm waiting to hear back. I have Mahler's endorsement.
Of course.
Yes. Absolutely. Between their Nicholas for $10, between the bump in season 1 and the dreams, Daemon seems to be on a collision course with Aemond. Second Sun Bowl.
I mean, certainly the fact that he saw himself with an eye patch,
Yeah, that was a pretty that was heavy-handed to say the least. Crispy GT, thank you for the Australian $1.99. Michael Reel for $19.99. This episode was fucking great. I'm enjoying the season like crazy. It's so nice to have this, and then we'll go watch it again on my home theater, and then I binge it. So I go back and rewatch all 5 and watch them all in context, and it's great. Can't wait till it's on 4K. Adler BW for $4.99. Now that Alys Rivers is in the picture and roofing Daemon, that's what it seems like, or it's straight up Fight Club. Let the Alys Quaithe theories roll. Quaithe though is actually mushroom. Let's be real. Quaithe, yeah. She's mushroom. I miss having mushroom. It wouldn't make sense, but having some little foul mouth midget running around Rhaenyra's court that's very serious right now might add some levity. But you know what? You can't cast little people in anything anymore, guys.
Well, that's a shame.
Shame.
All the little things I've heard about. That's bad choice of words. All the little things I've heard about mushrooms sound fun.
Mushroom is the funnest part of the book. So yeah. He gets all the deviant stories in. But yeah. And Time Bandits. I don't know if you saw that trailer, was fucking abysmal.
Oh God, yes, I saw that.
Oh yeah,
well, that's a Taika Waititi thing, right?
Taika Waititi, you were there.
Horrendous. Again, he's on a fucking speedrunning mission to destroy his reputation.
I think he's there.
He's always further down. Look at Boogie.
Yeah.
Destiny's trying to catch him. So
in every basement, there's a fucking trap door.
Dude, that's Disney Star Wars too. So yes, things can always get worse, folks. Megator for €5 says the way that Daemon seemed to respect the Brackens more for refusing to bend the knee to him and choosing to face Dragonfire was interesting. I thought it was interesting too.
Yeah, no, I thought it was actually the right way to go.
Yep.
The fact that they said no to the dragon being right in front of them is something that Daemon I would expect would be like, damn, okay, interesting. And the fact that he said, like, I want them to fight for me. That kind of guy.
Sam Wallace Art for $10 says Bela and Corlys could have been a good scene if granddaughter really talking him was a surprise that works, but the way it was directed, it's just like, hey, you a man, and that's the problem scene. That doesn't work.
I don't know. I didn't get that from it.
Yeah, that's not the impression I got from the scene.
No, that's why I was kind of wondering if they've really showed how much Bela likes Jace, and the reason she probably wouldn't want to be the heir was she's into Jace.
Well,
she's also into being like a Targaryen and dragon rider, and
they keep showing references. She likes being a fighter on the dragon.
Yeah,
that's that's an element of certain Targaryen blooded people, right? They're just like, I want to be fucking flying around doing shit. That's what I want to do.
Yep. Big E for $5 says winner of episode 4, Daemon's hot mom. I will hit that too. These Targaryens with their severe mama issues, and Aemond ruling King's Landing with iron. Yeah. Again, it's everything. But here's the deal. So Otto hated Daemon, obviously, and a lot of this shit was because of Daemon. Most everything happening right now is because of people's reaction to Daemon, including Otto Hightower.
Yeah, like if he was a nice and chill guy, he would have been the inheritor.
Yeah.
And then marriages could have been done without any pressure, or at least not as much pressure, because that's the thing, right? Everyone's just like, who's inheriting the throne? Who? A question of succession, you might say.
Also, the follow-up question, I forgot it for a second because I'm tired. But Otto would probably be fine with Aemond sitting the throne.
He has more faith in him than he does in Daemon.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of Daemon's choices seem more chaotic, while Aemond seem more strategic.
In a sense, Aemond's a bit more predictable than Daemon. Yeah.
Would Obi-Wan blow me? Would Melees and Vagar have known each other? I don't know, like known, like as
so. Yeah, kind of. I mean, Vagar was Laena's dragon previously, so there would have been some form of interaction, right? There's definitely connections, and they would have been chill with each other at some point. And then that's part of what is seen as the tragedy of Rhaenys being killed by her daughter's dragon.
Yeah,
or at least prior owner. It's just like, yeah, there's some interesting connections there.
Best part of the episode was discovering that the doggy was still alive. Says Nick the Greek for $4.99. Yeah, it hasn't ended up in a bowl of brown yet.
Maybe the dog will ride Vermithor.
Maybe the dog will sit the throne.
Maybe. Don't rule it out.
Lugina Garden. I hope I didn't butcher that name. Thank you for the 10 Canadian pesos. The only thing I didn't like about the episode is that I can't watch the next one right now. Lots of interesting plot points introduced. Not everything has to be fire and blood. P.S. Love you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I agree. I like it's what Ryan was talking about. I like the little bits and bobs, the moving around, the people talking in rooms. It was a meme, but it kind of was what built Game of Thrones to where it was. People talking in rooms.
Mm-hmm. People standing in gardens and betraying each other. What was that? I'm fine with that. Nick the Greek for $4.99. Having your sister wife cheat on you with your brother sounds like Jeremy's family. You guys get the joke, even though like you're from your godforsaken foreign countries.
Of course.
Okay. Default for $2. Wasn't ready for Daemon's Freudian fever dream. That's why I couldn't believe it at first, right?
Freudian to the point that Simon Strong is there too.
I know. He's all, hey, you like the duck?
That's what it is. He's super likable, that character. I'm not sure.
He's great. Somebody asked us later who our favorite character is, and I think, well, for this season, that's definitely one of mine for sure.
He might be like the number one secondary or even tertiary. I'm not sure how I'd rank him at this point because unclear on how much of a role he's going to play. But I mean, he's had significant amount of screen time for someone
He has
who
at this
just arrived.
Sir Marhouse for $4.99. I've seen a number on Twitter, Midwit, saying that Daemon in Harrenhal is boring. I really hope the showrunners don't read those tweets.
Well, I mean, if they did, it would be too late, right? Or
Yeah,
I
they
guess if
filmed
you were
it.
saying that, they'd be upset. They'd be like, "Oh, geez."
Yeah. I mean, just it's Twitter. It's not something to be
I mean,
taken seriously.
It's not like you're getting. Here's another Harrenhal scene with the same spooky dream. It's like it's different every time. It's developing
building.
forward.
Yeah.
You can see the places they're going with it, and Daemon's increasing. Like, I like that Daemon's taking efforts to better get a grip on this area of the world, but he keeps coming up against roadblocks and repercussions of his actions. It's good shit.
He's putting in a good effort for Daemon Targaryen, right? Like rebuilding the castle. That's a great idea. I mean, it's something that's nobody's done, not even the Strongs, and they rebuilt the castle, and that's smart. And maybe he'll figure out what he was good at, which is get the small folk on your side. Get the fucking small folk on your side. So we'll see what happens. He doesn't have the River Lords on his side right now. They're kind of mad. And what doesn't help is the Lord Paramount. The Tullys are just out of the picture right now. So there's again, we're going to see other houses, which will be interesting. Akshay Patil. I'm sorry if I completely butchered your first name. For 400. What are the dollars in it? That's India, right? It is an Indian peso. I hate that these dragons don't have a mind of their own. I want Caraxes to be like, give me my 5 minutes with this guy. Not afraid of my dragon fire. I will show you, boy. Even Cyrax to Rhaenyra. Is that Rhaenyra? Take me somewhere, bitch. They do to a certain point. I mean, we saw that. We see that much later with in the books of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Well, like the dragons getting restless a bit? Or...
Dragons get restless. They go out and do their own fucking thing for a while.
I think Rhaenyra had a line saying the dragons sense war is coming. That
yes.
They, that sort of thing. But yes, I'm sure if Caraxes had burned them all, it would have been quite the message. I just, Daemon decided what he decided.
But but they're trained too. They're also trained. Where Daenerys dragons were not trained at all. So. But no, they're in, as George just wrote, they're intelligent, but they're still beasts. So they're always they are like wolves. You can never fully tame them. So there will be a point where they do their own thing in mid-battle or whatever.
Well, it's kind of the thing that Viserys had mentioned before in season 1, right? Like along the lines of essentially we're kind of like we're playing with forces that we don't fully control or understand.
Yep.
Not entirely in their control, yeah.
Megatar for €5 says, I feel like Mysaria. Why am I blanking on her name? Man, I'm getting tired. White Worm is going to be blending of her and a character from the books and the Dragon Seed Nettles. I don't think so. There's a character called Nettles that's coming up. So, but there's no right. They haven't even set her up yet. So there was a lot of rumor that she's not going to be in the show at all, which would be fucking weird. That would be a weird decision. That'd be a weird decision. Luca Purdy for $24.99. Aegon received Meraxes head back from the Dornishmen to stop the dragon's wrath. Also, it's clear Meraxes' head. It has a giant hole in its eye. That's a good. Hey, Luca, I just looked it up. Maybe it might be Meraxes. So that would be cool. It would be cool. But it's supposedly Balerion, the Black Dread. Sweaty Zeus Gaming for $4.99. I'll be extremely let down if Alys Rivers isn't an actual person. It would be a way to hand wave away all the magic as all of it's in his head. But what's putting that stuff in his head? It will be the magic.
And you can, it doesn't have to be that she's not an actual person. It can be
yeah.
that she's like a spirit, some kind of creature, you know, that
Consciousness.
happened as a result of dying. Yeah, within Harrenhal. You don't have to say that it's not anything. It doesn't have to be that he's just going nuts.
Well, remember, in a lot of these cases, not everyone, we got to go back and look at his visions. It's somebody pouring a drink. So it's somebody else imprinted on somebody who's already there.
Definitely, they're gonna give us a reveal for that one, I assume.
Oh yeah,
To connect it all.
probably soon. But that's something that it's a complete mystery to me.
Dude, the thing is, all of my like history with watching these sorts of things, it's set off alarm bells of I'm just waiting for the scene where he says, you know, tell Alys to fetch another bandage. My hand is bleeding, and then Simon's like, "Who, my lord?" That sort of thing. By your grace, whatever. And he's like, Alys Rivers. And then he's like, there's no one here named Alys Rivers.
Alys Rivers died long ago.
Yeah, something like that.
She's buried under the werewood tree. Robot for $5. Q question for the panel. Do you prefer your King's crispy or original recipe? Original recipe. That'd be my choice. The Book of Grudges for $19.99. Does Mysaria's performance seem stilted to anyone else? It could be explained by her being a foreigner speaking a second tongue, but she just sounds like she's reciting lines rather than a person having a conversation.
I get the impression that's the way that she's being directed, is to say things that way. Yeah. I don't know, because the delivery just seems like so consistent all the time, like the same kind of inflections constantly. It just seems to me that's she got told like that's the way that the character should be. That's the impression I get.
Weakest character for sure.
Well, I don't really care about that character myself. I'm not interested.
I do care about it. That's my problem. As in, like when I see her, I'm like, great. Now we're gonna have more repercussions for your existence because she's making things happen now, which annoys me.
The thing is, she's supposed to, but they're not executing it well at all.
She got there with dumb things happening, and now she's doing things really fast. And like I said, her connection with Rhaenyra is way too strong, way too fast.
Way too strong. Yeah, it's not believable at all. So I would say that knocks it down a peg every time she's on. And yet her performance is flat as hell. It's just there's nothing but that accent. And it's like work on it, make inflections. It's a fake accent. So you can work with that in a lot of ways. But no, she just talks like this. I can't even do it. It's so fucking bad. But it's just monotone to me.
It is the same as it's been the whole, like in season 1, she talked like that as well.
Yep.
I think anyway.
Taylor Ramirez for $5. So is this scene
where they figure out who'll take over Aegon better or worse than the scene where Bran is crowned? I wonder. Who has the best story?
That was something that nobody was happy about, right?
Nobody. Whether or not Bran gets crowned in the books, it's not something people enjoy in the show because of just how horribly done it was, right? Like, so suddenly, and it made no sense at all because almost every character in the vicinity of Bran had a story that was far more complicated, difficult, and sort of adventurous, I guess, and character buildy. So making the argument he's had the best one, it doesn't make any fucking sense unless you go from the point of view that he knows all of the stories because of the Three-Eyed Raven and stuff. But whatever. The execution was horrific. We assume it'll be way better in the book.
In whatever reality it gets finished in, that's not ours.
I was going to say we have to travel a few dimensions, but we'll get there.
Thank you, Taylor. Roundira the Cruel for $4.99. This season is only 8 episodes, so they can't fuck up with episode 9 again. Really love this episode. Probably on par with Driftmark of season 1. That was a good episode, Driftmark.
That's probably why HBO requested they do 8, so they couldn't have an episode 9 fuck up. That's true.
Yeah.
Also, I will be right back.
Sure. Go on. And time-wise, right, we're getting longer episodes too. So that's true. We're getting much longer episodes. And it's going to help them turn seasons around quicker, supposedly. They're already writing season 3. So
do you think that season 3, do you think it's reasonable to expect that next year, or because
I
get
think
the impression with
early 2026.
2026, I mean, yeah.
But I think
it is
early.
2024.
I think it might go back to old Game of Thrones schedule, guys. April. Remember that? But sets have already been built, so I think they can be a little faster. And plus they have an ending in mind too. That's got to help.
Hopefully.
I would just if you're going to end it, then I would just do back-to-back filming.
Yeah, I mean, would there be any serious concern that viewership is going to drop off so much that you can't justify continuing to make it for another 2 seasons?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
It's House of the Dragon's a slow burn. So the first episode had lower ratings than the first episode of season 1, but there was a lot of hype. Also there's a 2-year break, but then this last episode was like either their most watched or second most. Help me, chat. Was it their most watched or second most watched episode? Fucking ratings were insane. So across HBO and Max, it was 8.1 million. But yeah, the viewership did drop, and I think a lot of that has to do with waiting 2 years.
I think I agree with you. It's something that's become much more common lately, where television shows will be split up by like 2-3 years between release. Where it used to be, it's like, every year at the same time, every year you could expect new episodes to roll out. And I think there is something to be said about, in a sense, pacing. Doing the weekly release. That helps out because people speculate. People talk about it with their friends. They get excited to watch it next week,
and it feels like it was around longer. You just were with it longer, yeah.
Well, in a sense,
you are.
It prolongs the conversation on it. But on the flip side, you also want to make sure that new story is coming out relatively promptly as well, because the longer that people wait, the potential there is for interest to be lost. Though I guess it has to be balanced with how quickly can you even make them feasibly? How quickly can you turn the show around?
Exactly. Yeah, like if you can get there's a handful of shows where you can get away with like waiting two years between seasons that are just phenomenal, crazy, insane successes.
Well, it feels like that's what Arcane was, because it's 3 years when season 2 comes out. So that's a long time to wait.
That is too long. That is too fucking long.
It's a long time. It is.
Well, I mean, people will argue, well, yeah, but, there's been movies and the sequels come out 3 years later, but those are like, for the most part, they're individual stories connected to the previous or either retold these days. But back in the day, like with Star Wars, it was every 3 years, really different movies moving on our character, but they all had like pretty good, they all had closure and a satisfying ending that made you want to go see the next one. If you do a series of television, it works different. We're trained different as viewers, and people are just and plus there's so much shit out there, they're gonna lose interest. So even if something's good, like really good, like I'm not gonna call House of the Dragon like phenomenal, Breaking Bad, first few seasons of Game of Thrones, it's not there. But it's good enough to retain audience. But if you keep going 2 years at a time, if it takes you 6 years to tell 3 seasons of television, you're gonna fucking lose audience no matter what. They're gonna oh, it came back. I had no idea.
That does happen for sure. I mean, I know it's a terrible television show, but I suppose it's apt as a comparison. Halo, I bet. I'm so curious how many people even knew that Halo Season 2 came out, like even who are watching this stream right now. But Season 1 and Season 2 were split apart by 2 years. When Season 2 came out, nobody knew. It just came and went. Nobody knew that it existed.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be faster in a year and a half. It was a little over a year and a half, which is still pretty good, but they had to cut off 2 episodes and they lost viewership. They did. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. And it's not like the show sucked, because it didn't. And it had a bunch of good word of mouth, and the first season like kicked ass in the ratings. So is it just sophomore jinx? That kind of thing happens sometimes with second seasons, maybe. But it seems like it's still on the pace of it's gaining momentum as time goes on.
I think so. I get that impression.
Guess people aren't that hungry. Dog is alive. Megator for 2 pounds. I agree. Yes.
They can't catch him.
They can't be that hungry if that dog is still around.
No, they try to tackle him, and he leaps and does somersaults over them and gets away.
Noons for 184.99 Martian pesos. I don't know what an AED is. Sorry. Hi guys. What's your favorite character on the show so far?
Viserys is still number 1 for me. But excluding Viserys would be Otto. You got to give it some thought. It's fair. There's a lot of
Daemon is still
options.
like the most interesting character.
I think that's a fair choice.
Viserys was the best, the GOAT, absolute GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Young Rhaenyra was good.
Yeah,
young
agree.
Rhaenyra is a good character.
Aemond is really high up in terms of interesting characters.
Yeah, Aemond's getting just much better. And Aegon was really good this season. He's like an interesting character, but wanted to see what happened to him, and he got burnt. Happens to the best of us, I guess. Hunter for $9.99. Congratulations, Gary. I'm fairly new to your channel, and I'm glad to see Forbidden Frontier got to 100,000 subs. Yes, Nerdrotic Live hit 100,000 subs tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks to you guys. A channel I created out of necessity because I got a copyright strike from CBS many years ago. I can't wait to see how that goes forward. Also, thanks for turning me on to the what's the WF? I should know this. Help me, chat. I'm tired. Not the WF. Sorry. You're welcome. I don't know what I turned you on to. Snoopy Diz has gifted 5 Nerdrotic memberships. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hunter for $4.99. Ryan, I think dragons have tar or something in their belly that creates the fire. There is there's an explanation for it. There is. I think the chat already got it. So white fungus? I don't know. White fungus. Funny. That's not it though. Mike 101. Oh, it's binary code. So I'll just say Mike binary. For $2, King's Landing has the worst security known to man.
People do seem to be able to just get in and out pretty easily.
And Bork. And I was going to mention, like, so I was listening, Arcane, I think they would get it out faster if they could, but
yeah,
it's incredibly difficult to make.
Yeah, season 1, I think, was in development for, what was it, like 8 years? Took a really long time initially to get it going in the first place.
And then, yeah, the thing you'd hope for with House of the Dragon is that they understand the investment is solid, and so they should start maybe recording 2 and 3 together, something like that, you know?
Yeah. But I think their philosophy is going to be they're going to stay on this pace, and then they're going to mix in another Game of Thrones show in between.
Yeah.
That's a little shorter, with the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and like we're getting that early next year, so we don't have to wait long for that. It's a much smaller show, so they're not going to like multiple locations. You're pretty much in Westeros at a castle, you know. I mean, for a lot of it, and it's pretty. It's a good story. It's a good, much smaller story about a young Targaryen and a hedge knight. Young Jace grows more kingly with each episode. Says default for $2. Yes, indeed. Lance for $4.99. Destiny is a fisherman on Dragonstone confirmed. Avagor. How perfect is Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen? When the casting was first announced, there were such reservations, but he completely owns it. I thought he was perfect casting from day one.
I was going to say, was there reservations? I remember you being excited for it.
Maybe some people were. I was like, no, fuck.
People were like, oh shit,
Morbius.
Sure
maybe
he can handle this. No, he's excellent. He's done a fantastic job.
I thought it was fucking perfect. The Targaryens are supposed to look a little weird. Okay. They're supposed to look a little weird. be unusual looking. So I don't know how much. I don't know much about Game of Thrones, but which dragons are more dangerous, Game of Thrones dragons or Elder Scroll dragons? You guys can answer that.
No, we
John,
can't.
break
I don't know anything about Elder Scrolls.
I'd have to ask my son. My son played a Elder Scrolls.
Chat, you guys can speculate on that one because I
Yeah.
don't know. I think don't the Skyrim and shit, don't they have like they're much more magical? They can do like spells and shit or whatever, the dragons. I think. I don't know.
I don't know. No idea.
The dragons, the secret of the dragons in Westeros will be explained according to George if he ever finishes the books.
Well.
Yep. But the theory was they were created, but they predate Valeria. So the great Jane theory is gifted 1 Nerdrotic membership. Thank you, Jane. It's good to see you here. We love Jane.
Yeah.
She's awesome. John gets for $5. Look, Allison is a piece of shit and has those crazy eyes. She does have the crazy eyes, that, like without a doubt. That tell you run. But I can fix her. I mean, hottie redhead rocking the green. Yeah, I'd be a bad Kingsguard for her. She's hot. She does have crazy eyes though. Maybe if they match up Daemon and Allison, the double crazy power hungry combo will make a good heir. Hey, it's better than dragons fighting. Says John one more time. This is true. The Wicker Man for $4.99. Hey, Fringy, thoughts on the concept of a dude potentially sacrificing his whole universe to save the one he loves? Only Fringy can answer. What's
I don't know. This sounds like another Across the Spider-Verse related question.
Oh my god!
That film is so out of date. You know, it came out like a year ago. Who cares about it anymore? We're talking about House of the Dragons coming out.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we can discuss it when the third one comes out in 6 years.
When the third one comes out, yeah, and then we got the complete story. Yeah,
that was supposed to come out this year.
I don't know when there's no date. There's no release date for that one. I have no idea when we should expect that one to come out.
There was a release date, Fringy, and then and then the CEO of Sony called the fucking animation people a bunch of pussies.
That was crazy. Like the whole how that after
the
that film came
animators
out,
pussies.
The conversation about crunch culture. Then people like, oh, you know, sometimes maybe there's a sacrifice you need to make for art. It's like what happened to the energy of, you know, crunch is unacceptable always, and that, you know, people shouldn't be having to work like 60 hours a day, 7 days a week to get these things done.
That just shows you if it means enough to a person. Yes, human suffering.
If they like it enough, they don't care. Yeah.
There's enough people. I'm sure even now there's enough people in Hollywood who are absolutely willing to work 16 hours a day plus 4 without getting paid to get the job done.
Probably. The fact is, there are certain things in our culture, be it something like a Star Wars or Lord of the Rings movies, Lord of the Rings books, whatever have you, like a cultural touchstone that had an immense effect on changing genres and the way that media is consumed, understood, and developed in future. Be like, would you sacrifice that in exchange for saving one person from having a really, really fucking hard time making it? And you're like, I don't know. And the thing is, would they? And maybe they would say, no, I did that because I wanted to make something great, you know?
I'm going to tell you something crazy. There's multiple times at car dealerships when I was working at parts or at Technicolor where I'd clock out and I'd be there for another 2 hours finishing my job because I wanted my job to be finished.
You see that sort of stuff. I mean, Halo 2, because I always bring it up because I found it so interesting. That game had a notoriously difficult development cycle to where, you know, they were talking about how they'd be working like basically every waking hour of the week for weeks and even up to months working on that game to get it done.
It was
some crazy hours.
It was so hellish in that dumbass toy store I've talked about so many times, but it's kind of the opposite thing that was happening when we were working there. So say, for example, I was on my shift and it was half an hour left and the queue was huge. There's stuff everywhere, like stock needs to go by, and you have to deal with the click and collect stuff. Just every job you could imagine. And someone's come on for their shift and they're going to go through all the night. And so I'm there and I'm like, oh, 20 minutes left, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left. And then it would be clear that this is a monstrous amount of work that needs to be done that one person will not be able to do on their own. And then the manager will come down and be like, you better fucking clock out on time. We are not paying you more money. It's like,
yep.
Okay. It's like, again, and, to the point where you could be in trouble to the point of being fired if you don't do it. So that person who's just come on is like, bye. And you're like, bye. Best of luck. Enjoy.
Best of luck.
Do you dream about the toy store when you're sleeping in haunted castles?
I think I've mostly forgotten it whenever in my day to day. I don't see flashes of toys, haunting.
Does Alys Rivers come to you in your dreams?
I imagine it wouldn't be.
Face the Legos, Mahler.
I've said before, it wasn't necessarily that job, one of the selection of different retail ones I went through, but it was kind of like man, maybe everybody should have to do this, not forever, just as an experience, so that you can understand what it's like when you're on the other end.
Absolutely.
Retail's character building shit.
Retail, fast food, those are the kinds of things where like you do it and you will just generally be kinder to people who are working in these kinds of jobs.
Unless you're Ryan. Ryan's a son of a bitch, though. I worked in the video department for the Warehouse, which is like a record video place from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where I got yelled at the most, was in the video department on a Friday night.
Absolutely the worst job. I've said this a couple of times, but probably not on this channel. And I don't know if I've told you, Gary, but when I went there, I was put on outdoors because it was like a toy store with a bunch of fucking departments. And, they had a software department and I wasn't directed to it, even though in my, specialities, I'd have like computing and all this other stuff. So I was just like, that's strange. But someone there, it was unironically like a fucking TV show. Someone there had like, they implied, yeah, you wouldn't want to go there. And I'm like, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Software. It's games, films. I know how to do all that. And then the manager would be like, you would be willing to enter software. And I'm like, what's going on? But eventually it's like, yeah, I joined. The person who was there, you could imagine just this like fucking Gollum level person, like, why are you here?
Yes.
And I'm like, why? Software. And then they're like,
come after my precious.
It's like, what did they tell you about this place? I was like, yeah, it's software. It's games, films, TV shows. Woohoo! It's amiibos.
Super fun.
Figurines and checking stuff, and most of it is just going to be dealing with media that I know. And he was like, no.
Dude, I remember like you remember Skylanders, the Spyro spin-off thing, and how like it was just like there's like a million Skylanders toys for like 3 or 4 years, and that was like, I don't know, that was a crazy trend, the whole like bringing toys to life thing for like 3 or 4 years. That was like worth billions of dollars.
That was my Harrenhal. I'll try and be quick with this, but because like I've told it, so I'll never forget this experience. But I was for several weeks, if not months, I was blamed for the disappearance of games gradually. It was about one per 2 weeks. The manager was after me all the time, being like, "You're the new guy. It's obvious it's you. Stop." And I was just like, "Why the fuck would I?" Even though I know in retrospect it's a useless argument to say why would I do it. Because, you can obviously come up with reasons. But I legit, in my head, was like, I have no fucking reason to do this. I'd lose the job. I need the job. Why are you saying it's me? And it's like, oh, yes, it's one of the other people who've worked here for years. And it's just like, what? And, I keep getting side eyes, and people just be like, are you stealing it? It's like, because like, you said you love playing your video games and stuff. It's just like, yeah, thanks.
You said you like video games, therefore you're stealing them all.
And there was just one fateful night, working late. I was on that software till, and manager who hates me, walking out with one of his best buddies who's worked with him there forever. And they're at the fucking doorway. And he's like, oh, yeah, need to do a routine, bag check. And the friend of his is like, nah, no, you don't. And he was like, no, I do. And he's like, you don't need to do that. And he was like, I do need to do that. And he was the kind of person that was like, wait a fucking second here. And like, they got the bag, opened it up, and he had a game sealed in there they hadn't paid for. And I was just like, motherfucker. Like, they were saying it was me the whole time. Asshole. See some Game of Thrones shit. Betrayal,
What, but the retail version, so.
Yeah. Unironically, though,
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah, look, workplace politics.
The worst.
Oh.
God, I don't miss it. Acid Hot Pocket for $5. The shot of Aemond standing in front of the Iron Throne gave me chills, and it was nice touch to have Helena call him out instead of Alicent. Hail. Was it worth it? And what does that mean? As Ryan,
Yeah, let
pointed
your
out
mind
earlier.
wander a bit because we know Alison's relationship in full with Aemond, but Helena's like,
I'm ready to see Alys R take on a new lover. Says Sir Marhouse for 23 months. Remember, for 23 months, that's awesome. D Lash for $9.99. I adore you guys, seriously, but sorry to a fan too hard, but this last 2 episodes have got me going crazy, pacing my heart to find out hearth. Is it hearth or heart? I'm so
pacing
tired.
I assume
Hearth.
they would say heart.
Heart.
Maybe they meant
Hearth.
they have a hearth and they're pacing around it.
Yeah, maybe. You never
Maybe.
know. Be careful with those things. They can catch fire.
Yeah.
Especially an acolyte. If it's a stone structure, that shit'll go out right up. To find out what happens next, my little daughter says hi, by the way. Hello, little daughter. I'm glad you're. Yeah, this is it's tense. Like they did such a good job building that last episode. Just the music, everything is like a slow build. It's all paced like a slow build, and the tempo of the music goes up as the episode goes on, which is kind of fucking cool. Ramin Dewaldi is fucking goat. Absolute goat. Matthew Dens for $5. They played Viserys' musical motif during the scenes of Aegon's suffering. They did.
I think they did. Yes, I think so.
Like father, like son. Hunter for $9.99. Oh, Y-Files. Okay, God, I should know. See, I'm tired. Hunter. Sorry, you didn't have to pay for that. WF means Y-Files. Great channel, by the way. Fucking great channel. Do some good stuff. On their way to 4 million subs. Well earned. Sir Marhouse for $4.99. Not too much Aemond this episode, but my theory is that he definitely read the blade and now believes himself to be the prince that was promised. I would not.
That'd be
it
cool.
was hot when he picked it up. He's obviously fluent in Valerian, so he would like all he would have to do is take a couple seconds to read that. John Getz for $5. Elder Scrolls dragons are a lot smaller and can be killed with basic arrows, but they do have some crazy shouts. They're the size of a commercial plane. That's pretty big still.
Yeah, like if it's I mean, like an Airbus, right? Like an A380, that's huge.
I guess putting the best of the Elder Scrolls one versus the like Balerion, it would probably be.
Are the Elder Scrolls ones sentient though? Can they talk?
Yeah, are they intelligent?
I think
because
so.
if that's the case, then that could change things a bit.
Communication can change things.
Exactly.
The Green gave Alicent the same message she gave Aegon last week. Do nothing. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Just sketch 21. That's a very
nice
good point.
Parallel, because especially the close up on it where it's just look how you feel. How does it feel to be completely useless?
So here we go. Night King 01 for $4.99 says Elder Scrolls dragons have human intelligence, sometimes even greater wisdom. Also, they can use multiple breaths, not just fire. Also, untold number. Yeah,
so
human intelligence
even then
kind of gives them a leg up, I would say.
Yeah,
a wing up. Dawnbreaker for $20. Since you guys like fantasy, I highly suggest diving headfirst into Elder Scrolls lore. It'll become one of your favorite fantasy universes. Fudge Muppet, the YouTube channel, is a great place to start. Fudge Muppet.
Fudge Muppet.
That totally sounds like an Elder Scroll channel. My oldest son has been telling me that for years. He's been like, "Oh, you like Game of Thrones? You love Elder Scrolls. You love it." My son, the actual gamer.
Of course.
Yes. Eric K for $2. Mahler, why did you slip that game in his bag meme?
It would that doesn't really work when he was like, "Don't look at my bag. Don't stop.
Oh.
You don't need to." It's like, where have you got it there, buddy?
Yeah, that was mean.
That was mean. I'm sorry.
You shouldn't have done it, but
it had to be done.
It's a fucking Game of Thrones of retail. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
John gets for $5. Mahler got that sweet summer child speech from the software guy and then almost suffered his own for the watch moment, being blamed for stealing. Lessons we learn in life. You made it. You did. Got the fuck out of that job and made good YouTube videos once a year. And that's fantastic. You son of a bitch. No, you do great. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Sorry I was a little burnt, but lot of streaming. I don't know how people do this multiple times a day, but I have to recharge my streaming battery, not my social battery, because I'm actually fine. I feel pretty good about life for the most part. Yeah. So, Fringy, what do you got coming up?
Well, I suppose the main thing will be probably the same thing that Maul will talk about. The final episode of The Acolyte's coming out, so there'll be an EFAP TV for that very soon after it releases. Otherwise, editing dungeon, working away, that sort of thing.
Nice. How about you, Mahler?
Same, pretty much. It's House of the Dragon, Acolyte, and some war movie stuff. We're still getting the EFAP movies sorted out. So,
well, and also the upcoming EFAP episode will be kind of funny memes.
Yes, we're going to try and do our best to tell the story of Boogie up to the latest chapter, which is
oh boy.
For those who haven't heard, he lied about having cancer in order to scam his audience into crypto coins to gain $10,000 payment from it. That's some next level shit, you know.
I hate the internet sometimes.
Yeah,
dude, it's like it's unbelievable seeing like when you think Boogie, you think like you've hit rock bottom. It's like nope, no.
That'll be fun. I'll watch that one, and that'll be all I know of. I've never watched a second of. Like even back in the day, I knew of them.
Oh my god!
Back in the day, but never watched.
We'll try and tell the story as best we can.
Do your best.
It's a long story. It's a long twisting tale with twists and turns and.
We would say they should make a movie or a TV show.
It would like I could imagine a mini series, right? Like chronicling the downfall of Boogie 298.
The Last Temptation of Boogie.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be there's a name. There is a name that would be like absolutely perfect to describe that.
Can't be just the rise and fall. That's
boring.
Failure.
Yeah.
Absolute failure.
Absolute failure. Story of Boogie 298. Is it 2998 or 2988?
2988. Coming at you live with the power of the internet is what he always says. I don't know if he says that anymore. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know what's next for him.
I know what's next for us. Episode 6 next week. And depending on like when the episode ends, that's when we'll start. I'm doing a nooner on the Green app tomorrow, 11 a.m. See you there. Talk about all kinds of stuff. And thanks to the Nerdrotics. Thanks to everyone who left Suit Chat and donation. You help keep the lights on. I love doing these. And we now only have 3 episodes to go.
Yes.
Over halfway, yeah.
We're over halfway through. Shit's about to go down. And thank God the Acolyte will be over this week.
Yes. Yeah. Mercifully.
Mercifully. And then Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's coming up.
Around the corner.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
We'll see.
And then Rings of Power. And then Agatha. That'll be going on at the same time.
Jeez.
Thank God Cobra Kai's coming. Cobra Kai's coming soon, right? It's like this month. So thank God something good will be on. All right. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for all the kind feedback you get. A lot of people are enjoying the show, and we are enjoying the hell out of it, too. We'll see you next week. Ciao.
See you later, everybody.